What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. As the NBA and NHL continue to rage on with their free agency, the NFL stays stagnant and probably will for Tayshaun Gibson, who was suspended yesterday for the first 6 games of the 2024 season. Gibson, who is currently a free agent, has started over 165 games in his career, including 33 over the last 2 seasons with the 49ers. But in the NBA free agency yesterday, the Warriors parted ways with one of their long-term pillars of success, Klay Thompson, and now they are actively trying to replace him. Shams Charania reporting yesterday that the Warriors are in serious talks on a sign-and-trade deal to acquire Buddy Hield from the 76ers, working to finalize a deal for one of the NBA's best three-point shooters to replace another incredible three-point shooter. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5 The Zone kicks off your Wednesday morning that feels maybe a little bit like a Friday. It is a wonderful morning in Nashville, Tennessee, and we've got 4 hours on deck for you, talking a little bit of everything. Local versus national perspective on your Tennessee Titans. Nashville Predators defenseman Brady Skjei joins the show at 8 o'clock. We'll do that hockey. VolQuest's Brent Hubbs at 8:20. Rhett, Bryan at Titans Radio with a very special hour that you will not want to miss at 9 o'clock. 615-737-1045. It's Wednesday, and we're going to act like it with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. Happy 3rd of July. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, good folks.
You want to call it that?
How is everybody? Tell us about it,
Grinch
Kayla.
this morning. I just actually,
I
text Dawn. And she's probably not even up yet. She's probably like, what is
0%
this?
chance.
What is this
Not the best.
dumb teammate of mine doing, texting me at 6 a.m.? But I'm just weird like that. I don't like to borrow people's stuff without asking.
Yeah.
I'm just not that type of person.
Okay.
But I had no choice because I walked out of my house this morning. I got distracted because I needed to mail my nephew's birthday present. His birthday's July 5th. And so I already screwed that up on Amazon, so now I've got to mail it. So I got distracted and I guess forgot my bag. I got here, I had no computer, no headphones, no nothing. And so we're looking around the studio for headphones, no headphones except for Dawn's. And so thus I am wearing Dawn's headphones today. So I text her. I hope she doesn't mind.
Okay, twin. That's what the kids say. What's up, twin?
So now if they didn't know us apart before, they definitely don't know us apart now because I'm wearing her headphones.
Definitely time in today, okay?
Right? So other than that, how's everybody doing this morning?
We're good. No, okay, listen, you didn't tell the whole truth. I need the whole truth, okay? The whole truth is Kayla is checked out, okay? It's
I
Friday.
wish I
It's
could be
Wednesday,
checked
Friday.
out.
It's Wednesday, Friday
Man.
is what's going on right now. And Kayla says, screw this. We're going to fly
I know,
by.
right?
And I'm here for that, okay? Ain't nothing but the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you, God.
I would be
I could do that part
mailing
on the
it.
movie.
Yes, I would be mailing it in if I had anything to do over this long weekend that we've been blessed with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Kayla has nothing to do over the
Nothing?
next 4 or 5 days. So maybe that's a good thing.
It sounds like you were just literally mailing it in. You were mailing a birthday present.
I was. I know. I could just. Can we put me in the package?
What's going to happen
And
now
mail it
is
over there.
over under on the amount of people who confuse you for Dawn now, actually, again, here in the morning show.
No
I'm
doubt
sure the
about
chat
it.
will get. They'll get jokester with me here.
They already have.
Oh,
D Good. Hey, look,
of
Dawn is
course
on the
they
morning
have.
show.
Look at that. D Good already chiming in this morning.
Things we love. Kayla, we got to get you to a cookout or something, man. What the heck?
Well,
No
I mean,
plans?
your cookout was supposed to happen 2 years ago.
I was.
Nah,
Well,
here we
if you want to slide by, you can definitely slide by 100%. All right.
I didn't know if you'd be home because of baseball, honestly.
No, we're going to be home Friday. We got a tournament, though.
I was gonna say,
10:30
there
in
it
the morning.
is.
10:30 in the morning,
There it
okay?
is.
Yeah, we're going to have a little get-together Thursday. I got to go get some fireworks. Can't say that too loud because it's like the
fireworks.
Underground Railroad of getting fireworks right now with our situation right
You did
now.
not just compare
You better be
shooting
careful.
fireworks off against your HOA to Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad.
With actual people.
We're going to have to take a minute and just marinate on that one for a
You're
second.
right. That's on me right there, ain't it, Will? That's on me, man. It's just sneaking
Harriet
is what I'm
Tubman.
saying. Nah. Our neighborhood come together pretty well, though, man, for the most part on
So
stuff
it's
like
you
that.
guys against HOA.
No, just say I think everybody is going to be compliant.
Okay, well, that's
We'll
good
just
news.
leave it at that.
I would like to ask everyone to please be compliant with something this July 4th. It's a very important decree that I always have this time of year. Nobody wants to see your videos of fireworks. Absolutely no one. On a list of things that I don't want to see
that you?
on social media, fireworks are at least number 2. Number 1 is your concert videos with you singing in the background. I really don't need those.
You don't like this concert
either.
singing?
Absolutely not.
No,
If I see somebody on a story have 4 to 5 updates and it's them in the background
It's just
singing a
phone.
flat version of the song that someone on stage is actually wanting to sing. It's concert videos and fireworks on a race to the bottom as the
Okay.
worst possible thing on social media.
Okay, but what about the drone footage of it?
No, yeah, I've seen fireworks.
there
I
will
know
be now.
I know how fireworks work. All right.
See-
I don't need. Some people love this as much
Yeah.
as they love when they're watching fireworks going, oh, this is the big finish. Here we go. Here's the big
You
finish.
talking about me,
Yeah.
Will?
Those are snitches. In school, those are the ones that would tattletale on everyone else in the class when
No.
the teacher did not give them homework. It's like, do we have homework? You forgot to give it to us. Those are the kids that sit during the fireworks show and goes, oh, it's the big finish. And they get their phones out and video it like we care and like we've never seen fireworks
I'll
before.
tell you.
Well, and usually
Do
it's like
better.
20 minutes out from the big
Find
finish.
God.
You know?
I
As Mike Golick Jr. would say.
I tell you, who can't come to our neighborhood anymore is Will Lee Bowling.
That's
okay,
fine.
is what I'm telling
I
you.
didn't want to go
We
anywhere.
gonna sit in
I'm in a
picnic-
new neighborhood.
We gonna sit in our picnic chairs and just watch and go, wow.
Yeah.
And
Well,
watch
it's
it
a big
wrong with
finish.
wow. No, the wow is fine. The wow does not bother me. The wow is not 5 updates on your Instagram story.
Oh, you're talking about the people that post that. Oh,
Yeah, no, just
okay.
social media.
The people say, okay,
I don't want to see
I get that. I get
somebody
that.
with 6 updates on their Instagram story of like, the fireworks.
I won't be able to do the
know.
updates because my drone got put on the no flight list. So
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
that's a real thing.
It
A
is,
no-flight
it is.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever
What
you get a
happened?
like, I got a DJI drone, any aerial toy. One you got to register. I think
goodness.
register it with the what is the AAF? What is it? The
FAA?
FAA.
Hey, Ara.
I am out of here. Okay, AAF.
Wasn't that like a failed
F-
football league?
It may have been, but
Goodness.
what happens is those flight toys have those drones have serial codes on them, and FFA
Oh, they're just the
understands
serial
it, and
killers
they
on
put a cap over my house. I can't put my drone up more than 400 feet. I think it's less than that. I used to be able
So
to go
is
up like
that-
1,500 feet.
Is that
in the
worth
air.
it then to have your drone now?
Not for me anymore.
Right.
But legitimately though, I get it. I could actually send
Okay.
a plane up, send my drone up right next to a plane.
Yeah.
And
That's
last thing I
wild.
need is a felony.
On YouTube,
True.
D Good says new neighborhood will same bugs though. As usual, D Good is a Yankees fan. He is living in the past, as Yankees fans always do. Your information is not current. I have won the battle. I've won the war. In fact,
You have.
bugs are gone, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations.
The bugs are gone. I can sleep roach free for the first time in maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
I got rid of an old TV stand, and that's where they were living. I have not seen a single one in 2 days since I had the TV stand hauled away to the dump.
But what was the Roach movie again?
Joe's apartment.
Joe's apartment. You got to go see Joe's
Oh, that's
apartment.
a
Well,
That was
thing?
you.
Good.
The
It would've hit
unfortunate
too
thing
close.
is the fireworks drive them inside, so now Will's going to have to worry about
boy.
them just running into his place and
Good.
posting it all
I've
over
got
their Instagram
traps set
stories.
for them. Hey, come to my apartment if you want to never see an apartment again, little
Well,
buddies.
I think he has a new career in
ready to
front of
learn
him.
death,
Roach
bozo.
therapy.
Roach.
He can be a therapist for people with roaches. I
No,
think
I-
you've gone through it enough.
My main job on this radio station is to be Nashville's therapist. So
Well, now you're well
take that very
rounded because
seriously.
you've gone from high class, middle class, to low class with the Roaches. Okay, you got friends in low places. Will
some would say I'm always low class.
I got one extreme question this morning before we really do a show.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
and it's for Bert because I got a feeling he did these types of things. Me, I would attempt it, but I couldn't finish and follow through. Have you held bottle rockets and fireworks in your hand till they popped? Are you that type of kid?
I thought you were going to ask me if I've put a bottle rocket up a frog's butt.
See what I'm saying?
I've done the Roman candle fights before, but I've never like tempted fate. Like,
Okay.
when's this going to go off? No,
Okay.
but I've done the Roman candles. We've done you just shoot them at each other. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, because my beautiful wife sent me X-rays of a post on Instagram of people with their hands mutilated.
Was it
I'm like,
Pierre
Yeah, you
Paul?
can't hold them.
Sure.
I'm
Was it
not
Pierre
doing
Paul
that.
who did
Yeah,
that?
JPP did that. Yeah, just Pierre Paul. He did that.
JPP.
Most sacks by any man with 8 fingers.
Oh my gosh! Didn't he get a ring too? Yeah, he did. But
He
I
didn't
don't
wear
play,
on that one, huh?
I don't
His
play
ring
around
fingers
like
there,
that though. Well, yeah, you'll never get married. That's wrong. We shouldn't have. I shouldn't have said that. I tried to group y'all in saying we shouldn't have said that.
615-737-1045, streaming live on 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
We will not have a Nathan's hot dog eating contest tomorrow that includes Joey Chestnut. He's apparently got a different venture that he is involved with tomorrow. But it does raise the question. I have thought of this for our question of the morning. Joey Chestnut absolutely does not get the credit that he deserves. No chance. The guy is the supreme greatest athlete of our generation. We are blessed to share the universe with Joey Chestnut at the same time. But who in sports does not get the credit they deserve? Whether it is a team, a coach, a player, it could be local, it could be non-local, it could be Joey Chestnut. 615-737-1045. Who in sports does not get the credit that they deserve? We're going to dive into that coming up next. And later on in the show, we're just going to take it a little bit of everywhere. Why national perception so different from the local perception on this Titans team? That's at 7:20. Brady Skjei, Preds defenseman, at 8 with VolQuest's Brent Hubbs instead of his normal Friday visit. Today is our Friday, our last live show of the week, so he will join us at 8:20. And at 9 o'clock, we remember number 9. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio will join us. He has gone into the Titans Radio archives. Tomorrow, the 15-year anniversary of Steve McNair's death. We're going to talk about Steve. We're going to talk about his best moments as a Tennessee Titan, and you will not want to miss that this morning at 9 o'clock. 615-737-1045. Who in sports does not get the credit they deserve? We'll dive into it next. Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 1045, The Zone. Who in sports does not get the credit that they deserve? 615-737-1045. You could literally take this topic anywhere around the world of sports. Bucket on Twitter, a great follow, says, beer guy. Man carries around a tub full of ice and beers dealing with us fans, deserves a Medal of Honor.
Solid.
That's a great first answer.
Replied back to that one. That was actually a good suggestion.
Teresa says equipment staffs.
Yeah, Teresa Varley. She worked for the Steelers with us, man.
Another solid answer.
Yeah. Teresa's so cool. I got to give that. The PR staff at teams, too, are that good.
So who do you guys have? Who in sports does not get the credit they deserve? I have one specific athlete.
I got 4.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I did. I was tuned into this one. Yes, 100%. Y'all ready?
Yeah,
as an offensive lineman who did not get the credit
bro.
He deserves, this topic hits home for you.
Well, that's the easiest one I picked right there. Offensive lineman, starting with the center.
All right.
Starting with the center. I ain't even making a guard.
That is kind of true.
Three of these are offensive line positions.
Left guard and then right guard.
He's like Marquise Patton.
No, I understand what a center is about, and I think this city will also. I put the offensive line in general, but specifically the center, because the guy has to snap the ball. That guy has to snap the ball in wet conditions, cold conditions, hot conditions. Also have to know just as much as what the quarterback has going on. Set the O-line. Communicate with the tight ends. Also, there's a lot more to that job, and I think we just make it seem like, these big, fat 300-pounders just out here moving people around. No. The accuracy of the snap. Have y'all ever tried to snap a ball?
In flag football, maybe back when I was in high school.
Shotgun is one thing,
right?
But snapping one in short yardage and goal line, even more of an underrated spot to be in. That's my first one. I don't want to take anybody else's, but I know I'm an O-line dude, but that position to me is very intricate and I think vastly underrated.
I'd agree with you,
Kayla.
Well, it is baseball season, and so I think my mind's a little bit, now that we have a little bit of a break, going towards baseball, and the All-Star game is coming up. This guy specifically, because I covered him at the lowest of low in minor league baseball, and now he has been in the highest of highs for years. And I think about it, I'm like, I don't know if he gets as much credit as he deserves, though. And I'm talking about first baseman Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt is one of the best first basemen that we've seen in a long, long time. And what's impressive about Paul Goldschmidt is he was an 8th round pick in the MLB draft, which, by the way, they don't even have that many rounds anymore, out of Texas State. Nobody really knew who the hell he was. Literally started at the bottom of the minor league ladder in short A ball in Missoula, Montana, and launched his career and climbed very quickly where he went to the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's where he was drafted. Had a really good start there, but it's the Arizona Diamondbacks. People don't give that team a lot of credit. They haven't done a ton to warrant anything, at least in the past 10 years, right? And then he was traded recently in the last several years to the St. Louis Cardinals, where he's garnered a little bit more attention taking over first base. Obviously, Albert Pujols, though, is going to be always known as the first baseman that gets all the attention there. You can go through all the first basemen in MLB history, Frank Thomas, all of these guys. They all get a lot of credit. He's 36 years old. He's still playing. He's got 7 MLB All-Star games in his pocket, 4 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Slugger awards. Like, this dude's the real deal, but not a lot of people talk about Paul Goldschmidt.
He won MVP 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a good player.
Good player.
For me, it's Wayne Gretzky. We have a lot of conversations about GOATs in sports. I think for me, Wayne Gretzky is the undisputed GOAT in his sport, more so than any athlete in their sport in any era. The stats on Wayne Gretzky and just how dominant he was are insane. I had to look this one up 3 different times, and it is true that if Wayne Gretzky had never scored a goal, he would still have the NHL record for most points in a career. Wow. Let me say that again. Wow. If he had never scored a goal, he would still have the NHL record for most points. He has more assists than the second most point total person in the NHL, Jaromir Jagr, has in their entire career.
What?
Jaromir Jagr has 1,921 points, second most in NHL history for one player. Wayne Gretzky has 1,963 assists.
God.
For anyone that is already crowning Connor McDavid as like, oh, this is the best athlete we've seen. Like, no. Wayne Gretzky won the scoring title by more than 70 points 6 different times. If Wayne Gretzky had never scored a goal, he still would have had 11 straight 100-point seasons and won 4 scoring titles, which is points, again, just off of assists. A no-goal Gretzky would have the most 100-point seasons of all time, and he'd be tied for the 5th most scoring titles. Only 6 players have recorded 150 or more points in a season. He did it 9 times in 45% of his seasons. For me, it's got to be Wayne Gretzky. This guy, of all of the GOATs, he is the GOAT of all the GOATs for me in sports, considering the level of dominance that he has had over anyone else that's played the game of hockey.
And I think in the hockey world, he still gets credit just because he's the great,
of course.
Right? But in other sports, mainstream, yeah, he just doesn't. He's not brought up as one of those Michael Jordans or any of those as much.
He's the only athlete who is the undisputed GOAT. In their sport. I mean, maybe Tom Brady is up to that level at this point, but
he was a part of a cartoon series with him, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, in the early. It was
Thomas?
In the early '90s. Like he was getting Frank Thomas. I think was also if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like in the early '90s, because of how he was then, he was getting a lot of that praise, like national. To your point, you're talking about the national audience giving him more praise. I think he had a run when it was like the 4 of those dudes in that era that was really cooking. So yes,
Pro stars,
yes, sir. Yes.
Pro stars.
So he got more then than he does now. You're right. His legacy should carry on more with what you just said about him. Well, that's very fascinating, man.
Plus, he made a pretty daughter. I don't know if y'all ever seen his daughter.
God.
I did.
Dustin Johnson's wife.
Not for long.
Wait, they're getting divorced now?
That was me wishfully thinking.
Oh, okay. Go for it, Bert. Connect 4.
Bert, who you got? Who does not get the credit they deserve?
The people that rebound basketballs in basketball practice. That has got to be the lamest job in the entire sportsdom. Because, I don't get to take a shot. I just got to give it back to him. Even if they miss it. You missed it, dude. Let me get one. And they got to put it all the racks. Those guys don't want to even talk to them. They're usually short, unathletic white guys. Right. They don't know. They don't want to talk to them. So the people that rebound basketballs, or if I got like a 1B, the people that go to marathons and hand beers to the racers. Those are cool people too. Because it's like they ain't never got a table set up. It's always somebody hanging over a barricade. Like, you're not watching a basketball game, a baseball game, something fun, somebody getting beat with a stick, nothing like that. You're watching people run. And you're standing there like, God, I hope somebody takes this beer. Please, somebody take my beer. Those people are elite vibes, guys.
Oh.
I think also the people that run out the water to athletes, whether it be football at practice, because, and sometimes they're grumpy and they'll just be jerks to those people. They don't mean to be, but they're hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
Right. And then some people like JC Latham says, that's the only thing I don't do like on my own and I feel bad about it. Like water. That was so funny when he said that.
Ramon, who else you got?
Man, who else? I'll give you the rest of this list. Joshua Dobbs. I feel like if you put Josh Dobbs in this era, he's Jaden Daniels. Is that okay to say? Essentially.
That's interesting.
I think if you gave him Josh Heupel, he's a first-round pick.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs, I think, from Tennessee fans probably did, and I think he's now starting to get that recognition and understanding.
100%, and I think, too, once Butch Jones lost his job at Tennessee, people understood, Josh Dobbs was the reason why that team was good.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, Butch Jones without a Josh Dobbs is not an SEC level coach. Butch Jones with Josh Dobbs won 9 games.
Butch Jones without Josh Dobbs is Arkansas State coach.
Yeah, right.
The results and all.
He's still there, right?
Crying on the sideline because you're getting your head
I think he got beat 77-7, or was it 77-0 by Oklahoma last season?
Yikes.
Yeah. Okay, that's no crying in sports.
Got a 5-star heart, though.
Another one, and this is Tennessee-centric again, but Chris Lofton. The shooter that he was for the era that he played in just wasn't ready for him. And his height, I know it is what it is, but there's a spot for him on the NBA team in today's world. Probably just give me a little bit quicker situation. We saw Boston put a shooter in at the end of the first half in the championship game to make a half-court 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see the tweet yesterday? Somebody made a starting 5 of 2 different Tennessee basketball teams.
Oh, no.
And it's a Chris Lofton-led team and a Dalton Connect-led team. This is a little bit off topic, but I really wanted to get Slay's thoughts on this because I do not have a good answer on this. So it's which of these teams would win? Jordan Bone, Chris Lofton, Wayne Chisholm, Admiral Schofield, Tyler Smith.
Solid.
So you get Jordan Bone, Chris Lofton, Wayne Chisholm, Wheezy,
Like that.
Admiral Schofield, Tyler Smith, or Dalton Connect, C.J. Watson, Santiago Vescovi, Grant Williams, and Jarnell Stokes.
Jarnell is the only one that get me.
For me, if you're getting 2023 Santiago Vescovi, give me that team. If you're getting 2024 Santiago Vescovi, give me the other team.
Give me the other team.
How good was Stokes? Stokes is my only.
Stokes was outstanding. Stokes was Grant Williams before there was Grant Williams, just not to that level of production.
I'm probably gonna take that second team with CJ on there. The Dalton Connect.
You are.
That's two ball players, Dalton and
It's almost
CJ.
like recency too with Dalton. It's hard to not go that.
Well, you were there
direction.
with CJ too.
Yeah, and I was.
It's
CJ.
I would say it's more. That's the guy you know. Out of
Yeah,
those.
it is. I know how much of a villain he is.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
his daughter,
Don't
by
you
the way,
want
is
a little
going to
bit of
you.
that?
I do. Absolutely. That's why I picked him.
Yeah.
His daughter's going to Pitt right now for volleyball. She's a
CJ
stud.
Watson with the
Nice.
biggest NBA career out of all 10 of these players,
No, straight up.
like legitimately,
And
yeah.
trolled the hell out of Draymond.
The pride of Las Vegas.
Yeah, pride of Las Vegas. My last one on this list is basketball centric right here was basketball pick. Steve Kerr as a player. Steve Kerr don't get enough
As a player.
as a
Yeah.
player. As a coach.
Because obviously he
we know
does
what
as a
he's done.
coach.
He
Yeah.
gets too much praise for his press conferences.
Yeah, well,
sometimes.
yes, he does. But Steve Kerr as a player, awesome. 3-point shooter, set him up, just single-handedly, I think, helped whisk the Bulls to another championship. But that ain't my reason. I put down Savage also. The dude that took on Michael Jordan in practice, took a shot from Michael, fought Michael Jordan, documented in The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Like, you went up against Mike. Whether he got punked or not, he did it, okay? And for those reasons, Steve Kerr, to me, doesn't get enough respect to go up against my GOAT in basketball. Steve Kerr, the player, 100%.
Let's go to the phone. 615-737-1045. Eric in Nashville leads us off. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey guys, happy 4th of July to you guys. I hope you have a great 4th of July. And also
Thank you,
got
sir.
a bad joke. I think all you guys would like, make you laugh as you go out on the weekend.
Do it.
So guys, did you hear about the devil worshiper who was a terrible speller?
No.
No.
Yeah, well, he gave his soul to Santa.
Oh my goodness. There it is.
All right. Okay.
There it is.
That's what I'm talking about, Eric.
Robert is hitting his head against the microphone, back in the control
I'm
room.
surprised he didn't disconnect you, Eric.
Keep them rolling, Eric. The floor is yours, baby.
Okay, guys. Here's mine is an underappreciated team. Now, of course, this goes back to the mid 80s and late 80s. Everybody talks about the great rivalry between the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers, which was a great rivalry, guys. But I think this team a lot of times gets overlooked in the 80s, and that's the 1982-83 Philadelphia 76ers. Guys, I don't think this team gets the love and the credit that it deserves. We're talking about a team that was 12-1 in the finals. They only lost one game. It was the 4-4 team. Also was 5-4 with Moses Malone. Of course, you had Dr. J and Mark Alvarone as forwards, and the guards you had Andrew Toney, and you had Maurice Cheeks. That guys off the bench like Bobby Jones, Reggie Johnson, Clemon Johnson, and I think Reggie Johnson, I'm not mistaken, he went to University of Tennessee. You also had guys like Sedell III, Clint Richardson, and a guy, I love this name, Earl the 12 Curitan. Great team. And guys, also people forget this. Do you realize during that entire season, they were 6-0 against the Lakers? They've swept them, 2 regular season games and swept them in the finals. And you're talking about Lakers teams with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Norm Nixon, Jamal Wilkes, James Worthy, those guys, Michael Cooper coming off the bench, Bob McAdoo. You were talking about the Surf-Time Lakers. And also during the 80s, y'all remember, too, the Celtics and Lakers only played twice. They were 1-1. Philadelphia and Lakers played each other 3 times during the 80s. Philadelphia did lose twice, but they won one because Boston's other 2 championships that they got were against the Houston Rockets. So I think that 82-83 team is very, very underappreciated. And I'm not saying they are the greatest team of all time because of all teams, since I haven't seen all teams play, but I would put them in my top 5 of greatest teams I've ever seen play. Guys, that's mine. Guys, y'all take care. Have a great 4th, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric.
Doubt, Eric.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
E.
Phil.
Appreciate it.
Solid submission.
That was
Eric
unfamiliar.
backing it up right there, too.
I was just going to say, he had it already.
Yeah, he did. Nah, Eric always come prepared, man. Dad jokes and also valuable information like that.
Big Orange Mac says team managers and walk-ons. Talk to me about the walk-ons. Let's go.
I'm here for the
Yeah.
walk-ons.
Absolutely.
I always found an appreciation for them. You want to know
Thank
why? I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't. I couldn't, especially on the football side. Being out
And that's
there.
what they want to take away a little bit more.
No, we ain't taking that
I'm
away.
like, can't do that.
Coaches won't allow
It's not
that.
going to get
That's
No.
not America.
There's a 0% chance
America.
walk-ons go
No,
away.
absolutely not. But I've always had an appreciation. You somewhat can be punching bags for a sense. So I punch them and then love on them too.
Yeah, that's
Welcome
what
to
you're
my
supposed to
freshman year
do.
of college.
It's like getting a gift for getting A's in school. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to walk on. You're not good enough to be an athlete. That's why you're walking on. They get plenty of appreciation. They get to be part of the team. Bro thinks he's on the team. That's the whole meme is about walk-ons. Bro think he's on the team.
All right.
They get enough credit. Walk-ons.
Listen to Bird. Yes, they get full uniforms, man.
They get rings too. Don't they get rings too?
They do.
They didn't even do nothing.
Not every sport.
Listen to Will. Like
Not
a
every
crystal.
sport.
Not every sport.
Not everyone.
We got third in the NCAA. We got third NCAA indoors my freshman year.
You don't get a ring
And
for third?
No.
Only the guy. Well, no, you do, because you get a trophy for third.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Top
What
four.
the-
You get trophy for fourth.
I'd throw it in the
Get a
garbage.
trophy for last.
Well, think
Hell.
about it. If you win the Final Four, you get it. If you go to the Final Four, you get a trophy. So
get a
4
banner.
teams get it in basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's common.
Bert,
Why are you surprised about that?
there's a reason you're 5'8" and not 6'6", okay? Bert would be a menace with that type of height and size, man. Listen, he's crapping on.
We
Guys
got,
knew what he was doing, making me a short, fat man. Because
He did.
if he would have made me a 6'4" giant, everybody would have knew about it.
we got rings for third, and it was only the guys that ran in NCAAs, which was like 6 or 7 people.
That's tough.
And we have a team of like 40.
That's tough right
Yeah,
there.
it was great.
Oh, well, at least that's in college. Well, when the Steelers won the Super Bowl before the year I got there, the guys on practice squad, I think the Steelers were the first ones to get like the big, gigantic rings. Well, the practice squad guys
What'd they
got
get?
small rings.
Oh,
It's
cute.
better than
It
nothing.
fit on their pinkies.
Essentially, yeah, those dudes were chapped. Oh, they were so ticked off.
I bet they were.
Oh,
On Twitter, Mr. Positivity says Ryan Tannehill does not get the credit he deserves.
Okay, and that should be an obvious one for us here, right?
I feel like another tweet's coming after that for being a terrible quarterback. Like,
interceptions versus Cincinnati.
you had us in the first half, baby. He had us.
Speaking of that, did you guys see the tweet from the Clarion Ledger last night?
No,
No,
sir.
I don't read that.
Well, I don't either. You know, I'm not like I'm perusing the Clarion Ledger for updates out of Oxford, Mississippi. This was interesting news last night. The headline: Archie Manning, Ole Miss football legend, dad of Eli, Peyton, grandfather of Arch, is 75.
I saw that.
Wait, what?
What a
okay,
terrible,
cool.
terrible-
And all the replies are like, "What? He will be missed."
Is he alive?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the point.
exactly. I hate it when Twitter
So
does
I
this.
tweeted it last night and said that had me in the first half. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
Literally just a picture. His birthday wasn't even yesterday. His birthday was 45 days ago,
What?
according to other people in the comments who are experts.
That's out of Ohio, right? Clarion Ledger?
That's
No,
Mississippi.
it's Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mississippi?
Yeah.
You know they got bad education down there, so it's somebody just
Uh-oh.
trying to be smart.
This is how bored we are in July. That we're just upping tweets like
They
that.
do.
This is the company of Gannett that centralizes all of their stories from a hub.
Oh my
about right.
gosh.
And are doing business people making content decisions that should not be making content
That
decisions.
was terrible right
It's
there.
not great.
We got a submission. John Daly.
What about him's underappreciated? I feel like he's pretty accurately appreciated. Hey, he's good. He's a good golfer.
Not much, I guess, to phenom that he
Oh,
Breaking sports news on 104.5 The Zone.
guys, wanted to make you guys aware of this really quick. Danny DeVito, out of New Jersey, he is 79 years old.
oh my God! You almost got me.
79.
Bro, I wasn't going to be able to handle that on air today,
Come
okay?
on.
You should be arrested for that, okay?
November 17th, he will be 80 years old.
Oh my
Good for
gosh!
Danny.
Shout out to Danny, man.
I cannot.
Coming up next, we'll tell you other people that aren't dead. 615-737-1045.
They come in threes.
Danny DeVito is the July 3rd not dead person of the day. Coming up next, 247 Sports has ranked the 10 most expensive tickets in college football this year. There is a theme. We'll tell you that next. Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW. A congratulations to Danny DeVito on still being alive.
Oh, my God.
615-737-1045, the RKW not dead person of the day.
That was so good, Bert.
79.
79. I can't believe he's 79.
So 247 Sports yesterday did the 10 most expensive tickets for the 2024 football season. This is a segment Ramon Foster will love because Ramon loves to just window shop like $3,000 suite tickets.
I do.
The amount of times, if I could tell you, where Ramon will be in a break of this radio program and say, "Did you know you could get to the Tennessee baseball game for $4,000?"
Facts.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's paying
What
this?
a deal.
That'll be the whole conversation. Have you guys looked at this on the game that is the most expensive in college football this year?
Have not looked at
I
it.
saw the notes, but
No.
I tried not to. I wanted you to surprise us.
The most expensive game in college football this year is Georgia at Texas.
Oh.
So the way that they did this was the most expensive lower level midfield ticket behind the home sideline.
Okay.
So it does not count box club or VIP seats. And for neutral field games, they took the cheapest lower level midfield ticket, regardless of sideline. Georgia at Texas, you paying $2,176 to sit midfield for Georgia, Texas?
Nope.
I ain't got enough oil money for that. Not for not for a family of four for 3 hours.
3 of the 4 most expensive games in college football this season involve Texas.
Of
The
course.
first ever SEC Red River rivalry, number 4, just over $1,300. Georgia Clemson, a great neutral site game to start the season, $1,434. Texas at Texas A&M is the game I am most excited for outside of my own team. $1,588, then Georgia, Texas, number 1. Tennessee, Alabama makes the list number 5.
And
just
it
over
should.
$1,200.
In Knoxville, yeah,
It definitely
that's
should.
gonna be a good one, man. I love and hate this. I do, because Texas is going to make themselves seem so important because of it. Like, they've been super chatty. Like, I know they have like SEC groups and stuff like that on Facebook and social media. They have been the chattiest of any football team or fan base I've ever seen. But I will say this, Texas they have a lot of noise around them. They got a lot of support too in the state of Texas and around the
They
country.
got a lot to prove.
And they got a lot to prove. They are still, I think, in that build-up era, that the same way it would be the Vols, Nebraska, et cetera, Penn State, those types of teams that are trying to vie to be relevant. And Texas got a lot going on. They got a quarterback profile, they got a coach profile, they got a team profile, and they're switching conferences. I get it. I'm just not paying the $5. I ain't paying that much for that, man. That's a lot of cake on top of the fees behind that.
Sure. If I'm Oklahoma in this whole situation this year, I'm just like, and look, they've got a lot to prove too in terms of trying to build back up with Venables and everything. But Texas has the bullseye. Like, Texas is the one that's getting all the attention. Texas is the one that's recently been to the Final Four, although not achieved what they want to achieve as a program, as an athletic department, and that's winning the championship again. There's a lot of pressure on Steve Sarkisian and this program. And what's crazy about Texas and why they had not been able to really figure out coach by coach that they went through is their alumni base and their money their donors are so involved in the program that it's almost like interference, right? It's a hard thing to deal with sometimes because there is so much money there and old money, and that donor money sometimes can get in the way of just running a program. It looks like they've figured it out now, but for so long, there were so many issues with these donors being like, we don't want this coach. Get him out of here, right?
Because of it,
Yeah, and then the ones to follow that. It was like almost 3 years after 3 years, there was a new coach, but there's still a lot of pressure on this program to win.
I've played with Texas guys before. They are, like, we joke about the country of Memphis, like the country of Texas, like at UT Junior.
Austin, you mean?
Austin, their players are different. Like, you can tell if they're from Texas and went to the University of Texas, they've been coddled like the majority of their lives.
Sure, it's like
the
USC
dudes
too.
I've been around, you went to Texas, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, those are the questions you somewhat got to give them. But
That's a good point.
They are they are an item that's a hot ticket to get, and I understand why too. A lot of people just want to see their downfall, like me.
It is interesting, too, because historically, Oklahoma is the superior program.
Right. Exactly.
Texas got the loudest mouths, though.
Yeah.
They do.
Like, you can't hear enough of them. They've been super just chippy on social media. It's like, you're not that important to us over here.
I want you guys to go. I hope you guys get to go to an Oklahoma game sometime.
I've never been.
I really want to get your thoughts on the fan because I thought they were great. They were so nice.
We played them when I was
at the Rose Bowl.
We played them when I was in Knoxville. When I was at Tennessee, we played Oklahoma
How
our
were it?
freshman year.
Yeah, we did, and then the second one got canceled in Norman,
But
right?
at Oklahoma, have you ever been there?
No, I was in
I hadn't
Knoxville.
been to Oklahoma. I hadn't been to
Norman, I think
those
it
are
is.
some trips I do want to make. I don't know how I'm gonna make them, but that's one that's on my list too.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
On Twitter, Grant Ramey, our friend from VolQuest, answers our question of the day: who in sports does not get the credit they deserve? Says the director of operations. That is 100% accurate.
So true.
If you ever seen a director of ops go to work for a college athletic team at the high Division I level, there are so many logistics that person has to deal with.
This is
I'm talking meals, I'm talking hotels, talking travel. Who wants to room with who on the road? Who can't room with who because they stole their girlfriend? There are a lot of logistics for the director of operations to handle.
Who was that for Tennessee? Grant trying to get some brownie points or something? Who
was,
does that go for?
He trying
Grant?
to get on the plane,
Right? Yeah. Come on, man. Let me get. You got a hard job.
The guy for Tennessee baseball actually just resigned and has taken a job with the university, Chad Zerker.
Okay.
Very popular guy who was a Dave Serrano hire, was around there when I was.
They're usually the first ones off the bus talking to the
Dude.
coach, whisking
it's
them to
impressive.
the front
Yeah.
of like the line. There's a lot that goes into that.
Amy Elkus does it for Vandy Boys,
Yeah.
and she is unreal. Like the stories that she tells me, she's like literally a superhero.
Yeah. There's so much you got to do. I mean, we're talking about police, state troopers, everything that have to be
Booking
set up for them.
hotels,
Yeah,
everything.
100%.
615-737-1045. Bronny James has already taken one skill from his dad. We'll talk about that next.
What's going on? 7:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. As the NBA and NHL free agencies continue to rage, the NFL stays pretty stagnant and will stay stagnant. For one free agent, Tayshaun Gibson suspended the first 6 games of the 2024 season, played last year with the 49ers, started 33 games for them over the last 2 years, has started over 165 games in his career. In the NBA yesterday, Warriors parted ways with one of their long-term pillars of success, Klay Thompson, and now are actively trying to replace him, as Shams Charania reporting that the Warriors are in serious talks with the 76ers for a sign-and-trade deal to acquire Buddy Hield, someone the 76ers acquired last year, working to finalize the deal for one of the NBA's top three-point shooters. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues into hour number 2 on 104.5 The Zone. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, put on the air by the one and only Robert Walsh. 615-737-1045. We got a Titans discussion for the people coming up in 15 minutes because there is an ESPN writer who has disrespected the Titans in a piece of analysis. Why is national perception so different from the local angle on this Titans team? We'll do that coming up at 7:20. Streaming live at 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Ramon Foster tells us he has a quick shout out to give to some people.
I do, real quick, man. My guy Chase Campbell, man, alerted me, and I saw it last night. They were streaming it live, man. Goodlettsville Little League Baseball, man. Major congratulations to you guys, man. The 12s are heading to state. They got over that hump of beating Nolensville and Murfreesboro last few days, man. So, yeah. The road to Williamsport officially starts, man. They usually have a good program over there, really good players, man. Shout out to my little guy, Tybo, man. Way to lead that squad, man. Tybo's my guy. He's a middle child like me. That's my little homie. He see me, he daps me up, I dap him up, man. That just goes to show, man. If you good to people, it'll come back. Little Tybo's cool, man. That's my guy. Shout out to Chase, too.
Very nice.
Right? Yeah.
Love it.
So shout out to Goodlettsville, man. That's been a big battle. Y'all know between North Nashville and South Nashville. Nolensville, Murfreesboro, and Goodlettsville have been
the Northsiders.
The Northsiders.
Like the Cubs.
That might be a new name, Will.
There you go.
Look at that.
Goodlettsville Northsiders. So shout out.
Good for them.
Yes.
Brady James and Dalton Connect met with the media alongside JJ Redick and Los Angeles Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka. And Brady James was asked about playing with his dad, the thought process behind that. This was his answer and the question yesterday.
You played 1 year at USC and joined the team, after the season already began. What about the timing to come into this year's draft compelled you to make that decision? And then how much of a consideration was, my father's still an active player?
For me, I always try to put that narrative of me trying to get my name out for myself. But just coming in and trying to get better, Rob has told me that there's a great development system here. So I just want to come in and get my work in and get better every day. But I never really had a thought of, me going to play with my dad, but that's always, there to, take part of. But that wasn't a main focus of mine to do.
In the words of Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you.
It's fascinating. I'm with you too. I call cap. That's what the kids call it. Is cap lying? Absolutely not. You want to know why it's a lie to me? It's because I listened to a podcast with the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. And you know what? He's similar situation. Father was a little bit older, playing in the pros already at the time. And you know what his dad told him? Son, if we gonna do this, and this is from, I'm paraphrasing it, son, if we gonna do this, you better speed this up. So if you think you're this good in high school, speed it up. Come to this next level. There's been somebody that's done this already. Ken Griffey Sr. and Kid Griffey Jr. have done this. And Ken Griffey Jr. specifically spoke about.
Deserved it.
He's specific. No. What I'm saying is this. The understanding that you had a guy that's gone through this, speak about this moment.
Right.
And you know that Bronny has seen it. Like, what he's trying to do, and I respect him, he's trying to separate himself from his father and trying to get it on his own merit. But it's okay to say, my dad plays for, if I could do it for my kids, listen to me. Will, Kayla, Bert, listeners, if I could crack open that door for my kids to guarantee him a 4-year contract for a team in the pros, who in here would not do it? I understand I want him to work for it, and he might have to go to the G League for a little bit. But guess what? I'm going to open that door if I got the flex like LeBron James do, the same way that Griffey earned his. I mean, it's the same conversation. He's lying. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Griffey, I think, knew he could be that caliber of a player because he was already at that point. But the thing that gets me about Bronny James is it's almost like it's not his fault, though, that this has been the narrative his whole life. And honestly, his vision of this whole career of his is skewed a little because he's probably had LeBron telling him, you are that good. Like, you are going to play with me wherever I go. We're going to find a way to have you and I on the same team. I'm sure that that's been the narrative, at least for the past several years, right? But now he's actually in this situation. And I think he probably thinks to himself, my gosh, I don't know if I am at that level to be able to play on a actual team with my dad, right? I mean, I'm sure he wants to. But you have to be thinking realistically, Bronny James, unless his head is totally skewed, does he really think he's NBA caliber right now?
No, I think Savage somewhat opened that up yesterday. It was like, there's still development to be done. He ain't averaged anything that was astronomical to make me believe he's a starting 5 or even in the rotation. I think Ron said the top 8 rotation for an NBA team. The point of it to me is the idea that he was just capable of opening the door. I got nothing wrong with him opening up the door. This happens in Fortune 500 companies. It happens in franchises. It happens all across the board. The coaching world, right? Like, we've heard Bill and Brian Callahan. I mean, Bryan opened up the door for his dad. They spoke about this. Like, we directly have a situation here. It was like, yes, I would like to coach with my dad. But again, you have to be afforded these opportunities, and it's nothing wrong with Bronny being afforded this opportunity. I'm with, I think Danny said in the F&M Bank chat, I'd much rather them just own it in a sense, but I get it. I understand, like, there's a lot of pressure to be LeBron James Jr. You know what I'm saying?
He's in
Bronny
a
James.
weird spot. Like, whatever he says up there, guys, we're going to take it and pick it apart, good or bad, on either side. Whether he said that, oh, yeah, I knew I was going to come play with my dad, I'm excited. Or if he said what he said here is, it's just about me trying to focus on my career and get better.
He's right.
Yeah.
I also thought it was funny he talked about the development system of the Lakers, which has been horrendous. Like, who have they been able to develop outside of Austin Reeves and Alex Caruso?
Yeah.
Like, they had to trade Julius Randle because he wasn't getting it done, got better with the Knicks. They had to trade Brandon Ingram, got way better with the Pelicans, had to trade D'Angelo Russell. All of their high draft picks, they have not been able to develop into the superstars. They became superstars elsewhere. So Rob Pelinka's lying to you. The development system is not great with the Lakers. But it runs in the... Will alluded to this in the tease. It runs in the organization. Do you guys have a favorite LeBron lie?
Oof, I don't even remember.
Oh, when he said that was my favorite saying.
Oh, I always say that.
I always say that.
On the barbershop.
Oh, yeah, I always say that. I always say that.
He has a couple. So, like, the time he was being interviewed about Kobe's 81-point game, he was like, I called it. Before the game started, I was like, he about to go for 81. But the one that piques my interest when being interviewed by an Italian reporter was asked about The Godfather, what he watches on the road. And LeBron had this to say.
It is a question not related to the game, but since it has been a lot of publicity yesterday and today about Godfather Part 2, which is the scene or the moment or the phrase or the quote you like more from the movie?
Oh, from The Godfather. It's too many different phrases and too many different lines in that movie to just categorize one.
But which is the one which inspires you, represents you more?
I mean, each movie is 9 hours long. I mean, what do you want me to do?
Pick one.
Wow.
I would like you to. He said before this that he had watched Godfather 6 times. I've watched the movie 6 times. Oh, so what's your favorite part? There's too many to name. Oh, just name one. All of them. I like all of them.
God.
Come on, you ain't even got to lie. Why are you lying?
My other favorite one is when he was sitting between two women over the last year, and you see him very clearly say, "Hey, first of all, Happy International Women's Day."
Oh, when he's sitting between the two of them. The times he gets pictured reading books. He was pictured reading a Malcolm X book. I think it was at a scrum, and they were like, "Oh, how are you enjoying the book?" He's like, "Oh, really good, really great." What do you like about Malcolm X? X.
The one that I was talking about is it was a guy saying, I had one coach, he used to say, put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable. And he just goes, oh, that's my favorite saying. Yeah, that's my favorite saying. Love that.
I see. That's the thing. I never really listened to guys talk like this until like after they're retired.
Yeah.
Like I don't listen to a whole lot of the gibberish that they say while they're playing. Because here's the thing about athletes in our current state when we're playing, we think we're Superman.
Yeah.
We think we can recall everything's possible in every moment, and LeBron gets got time and time again. That's terrible. In those situations, you got to say, well, I probably can tell you one off top. I just love the movie.
The Godfather one's the worst.
He could have navigated the Godfather question so much better than that, Bert. Like, dude tried to hit you in the gotcha moment. I'd have hit him
He could
with
have also
something
just
else.
Googled on his phone for the time he took to try to answer that.
No, that one's tough right there, though, bro. I've heard about his mishaps and sayings. I just never really listened to
It's
him.
hilarious.
Like, I don't watch the shop like that.
And I don't dislike LeBron.
No, I love LeBron as an athlete. I've learned to appreciate greats more, is what I'm saying. I usually appreciate them
But
after
they're
the
different.
fact.
They're on a different level.
He's been redeemed in my mind. The time he was at I think it was a Cleveland Indians playoff game, and he was in the suite. They were up there smoking a blunt, and the camera was on him. LeBron was like, "Hey, put that away. Put that away." I was like,
I saw that one.
It's when they were both in the playoffs. Like Cleveland was in the World Series, and they were balling in the NBA finals.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's tough.
615-737-1045. Why is national and local perception on the Tennessee Titans so different? We'll dive into that next.
Yeah, I had one coach, and he used to say, put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable.
Oh
Play
yeah,
outside
that's my
of your
favorite
comfort
saying.
zone.
What's up? It's Will Bowling. Is your water heater not heating? Maybe your sink is leaking. The drain is clogged. This time of year, we all have things on our summer to-do list. We're having people over. We're thinking, now I'm going to get to that. Then a holiday comes and still isn't done. Well, available 24/7, 365. Our expert friends at Lee Company, they got you covered for all of your plumbing needs. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off a plumbing service call for a limited time. Essentially, you just give Lee Company your to-do list, and they're going to make sure it is done smoothly, efficiently. They're available 24/7, 365 at 615-567-1000. Their website is great as well, leecompany.com, for an appointment to take care of your home's plumbing from top to bottom. 615-567-1000. Again, that's $20 off on your next plumbing service call at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. RKW Wednesday morning on 104.5 The Zone, talking Titans with you. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. There is an article by our friend Matt Miller of ESPN.com projecting the 2025 NFL Draft. I care less about that. I care more about where the Titans are picking in this mock draft and what it continues to say about the local angle on this team being extremely different from the national perspective. So Matt Miller writes in his ESPN.com 2025 mock draft that the Titans would pick number 4 overall, and they would pick Tennessee edge rusher James Pierce. A lot of people in this state would love that. It'd finally be pandering to Vols fans. It'd be great. And Matt Miller also writes that James Pierce is his preseason number 1 overall player going into this year's college football season at 6'5", 242 pounds. But again, that's not why we bring this up. We bring this up, guys, because locally, I don't think the conversation around this team could be much more positive. Nationally, I'm not sure it could be much more negative. Why? Why the divide?
The quarterback. It all comes down, in my opinion, to the belief in Will Levis. And for those who are here locally, who listen to us on the radio every morning, even in the offseason, we're talking about offseason topics for the Titans. I think that we've had enough comfort in terms of what they've done around him in the last several months to give him a shot, to have a little bit more belief, of more of positivity headed into this season when it comes to Will Levis. When you look on the outside and you're getting the national perspective, I really do believe it's hard to get a clear, thinking of the situation when you're not here every day, when you're not talking with coaches, when you're not at mandatory minicamp or OTAs day in and day out and seeing the progress. You just don't get that. Whether you're a great national reporter or not, the Titans are not the market you're focused on. So in my opinion, you get more of the hearsay, right? And most of the hearsay is centered around Will Levis not being able to necessarily prove himself 100% last year, because he didn't play in every game. He wasn't even supposed to. And the games that he played in, he had some really high highs, and then there were some lows. But there was also a lot of things centered around why he maybe couldn't get there faster last year, and that is the offensive line. And so I think nationally, they take those two things, the offensive line still not having a solid solution yet in terms of proving it, right? We've seen what they've done to help it, but they haven't proved it yet out on the field. And then with Will Levis not being able to prove it yet. With those two things, I think the national media is downplaying what the Titans can do this season.
For sure. Most of it usually starts with the quarterback, but it's funny because there's other teams that got young quarterbacks that have less experience than Will Levis.
Like Anthony Richardson and the Colts are picking 14th in this mock draft.
Of course they are.
Yeah. I'll go a little bit deeper in my assessment of it because I thought about it last night. I was like, why? Why is it always like this? We've had this conversation before, right? And we're talking about specifically this year, though, right, Will?
Yep.
And it boils down to identity. I feel like the success and the recognition of the Titans has come through identity. Derek, Vrabel, J-Rob, Julio, Clowney, everything that this team gets is based off of everybody's identity. You don't have Derek, so the Titans they're gonna suck, right? The Titans don't have Vrabel. Guess what? Brian Callahan can't be trusted yet. I don't care if you got Bill Callahan. I don't care if you got all these all-star coaches. Brian Callahan cannot be trusted yet as a national narrative, no matter what he did in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. Well, you guys, to your point, Caleb, don't have a Joe Burrow, so he can't be trusted. Everything that the Titans get backhanded is because of the lack of identity. And to clear the point up even more so, you're right, Caleb. They're not at the practices. They don't really understand the dynamics of this team or what they have and the coaching staff and all the things that surround the origins of why we think this team is going to be good. Football is one of those sports where whatever you say you're going to do, you do have to go prove it. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Titans don't have the grace of having. Somebody on this team that's been capable of proving something play in and play out, year in and year out. You lost the coach, you lost Derrick Henry, you love Big Jeff. But Big Jeff, the way they see it, there's only one person. We like Harold, love Harold, right? But Harold is only one person that we speak of. You love Arden Key. But Arden Key isn't somebody that you trust like a Von Miller to rush off the edge, right? Who are your playmakers is what they're looking at. Kenneth Murray is in a position right now to where he can go in and probably have 120 tackles this year because of the way we know Denard Wilson said he was going to play his style of defense. They don't know that. They see Kenneth Murray as a first-round bust. Oh, you guys got somebody else's throwaway. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. Like, I used to jab back at the Tennessee Titans fans. We're the underdogs. We're the underdogs. This is also what comes along with being the underdogs, too, is people don't believe you until you show them. And not just showing them for 1 year. You got to show them year after year after year after year. And that's where I'm hoping this franchise, this team, under Rand, under Chad, under just everybody, Miss Amy. I mean, we can go down the line of all the people that we know that are on the same page, moving this boat in the same direction finally. But none of that is believable until it actually happens. It really boils down to identity. I've seen more Derrick Henry resurrection conversation than I have for Jesus Christ, okay? Like, him going to Baltimore, Bert, honestly, I hate to bring you in this like this, but the conversation around Derrick is he's the answer that Baltimore needs, right? Or correct or incorrect, Bert? He's not listening.
No comment?
Right.
He's working.
He's working.
My bad. But what I'm saying is this. Derrick to the Ravens means more to the NFL than Derrick Henry with the Titans does. And again, this team has lost identity is what's happened. And that's why you're picking in the fourth slot right there. I think this is a better team than what most people are going to give credit for.
To add that to that, just in terms of the national perspective, I saw a poll by our good friend Michael Lombardi the other day, and he had put it out about like what head coach in terms of rookies will have the most success in year one. And what stood out to me was the Seahawks were obviously at the top of that list with Mike Macdonald. Now, Titans were next by a different margin, obviously. But it just goes to show, guys, like Mike Macdonald, as much as I think he's going to be a good coach, like he hasn't proven anything yet at that level as well. And the Seahawks are not like, at least over here, as talked about, because they're way up in the Northwest. But what have they won? A Super Bowl, right? So people still associate that Super Bowl, and when Russell Wilson was there, to, okay, maybe that's just more of a set culture there, or like you said, a set identity there. Because I don't think they are in any great of a situation than the Titans are. I mean, that's my team, and I don't think they're going to be anything special this year. I think almost the Titans have more potential. Yeah, I said it.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, it's again, a lot of teams get benefit of the doubts. Team does too.
Sure.
And again, I would also say this too, the way they perceive the AFC South and everybody else in this division. You get no grace.
Yeah, that's another thing, the division.
And being honest, like they do have to go prove it. There has to be consistency. That's one thing I've spoken about often, and we've had this conversation, is when it boils down to what's your identity, right? That's where this squad is moving forward. If they change the way people perceive them, like I might be wrong in saying this, but like I didn't really care too much about the Kansas City Chiefs. You take me back when I came into the league about 10 plus years ago, I don't care about them.
They were the team that always chokes in the playoffs.
You know what I'm saying?
They lost to Marcus Mariota in a game where he threw a touchdown pass to himself in their own stadium in the playoffs.
And now they get grace because they got the guy, and they've changed the perception, right? That's what has to happen.
I think the quarterback is a part of it. I think there are legitimate arguments on both sides of the local perspective being positive, the national perspective being negative. Until you have good quarterback play, no one will put in the time to take you seriously. You got to earn that, right? Yeah. Like the reason why the Texans, who were one bad Gardner Minshew pass away from losing the division to the Colts on the last play of their season in Week 18 this year, the Colts were so close to winning the AFC South with a backup quarterback or being in the playoffs with a backup quarterback. But the Texans are 23rd on this list and the Colts are 14th because they have C.J. Stroud and the Colts don't. Yeah. You have a legitimate star, and it's not just that. Like they added Stephon Diggs. They have Danico Autry. They've got Daniil Hunter. They've made legitimate additions to that team. But on the flip side, I think as well locally, a coach's staff moves the needle more for us locally than it is nationally. I don't think nationally people are giving Bill Callahan, Frank Bush, Tracy Rocker, Steve Jackson, the credit for being one of the better staffs, I think, in football year one when Brian Callahan coaches his first game against the Chicago Bears. I think you could argue this is one of the best coaching staffs in the National Football League when you combine the experience on the staff with everything else that the Titans have going on. But for us, we talk to those people.
Yeah.
We get to speak with Bill Callahan and Frank Bush, and we get to learn about that process. That's not going to move the needle nationally, and I don't know if it should, to be honest with you. So, to me, Mike Vrabel was a big market character. Mike Vrabel is a Tom Brady adjacent person. And there are still people nationally that will shake their finger at the Titans and say, shame on you for firing the guy that Tom Brady played with who's a winner. Mike Vrabel's a winner.
Yeah.
They also don't know that Mike Vrabel promoted 2 offensive coordinators who were awful because they were just on the staff and they were in the building already. That is what the national person does not understand about Mike Vrabel. But they're still going to wag their finger at us and say, shame on you, just because the guy that they know is fired and the guy they don't know is now the head coach.
Yes, sir. 100%. And that's why I was just saying, like, Brian Callahan can't be trusted by the national media. That's what they're going to give because he's not a former player, hadn't won a championship. Well, he has won a championship, paid. But, like, his name wasn't on that DNA, or he's not the NFL tough guy.
Quarterback's coach.
It's the quarterback's coach. There we go. You know what I'm saying? So it's that conversation. Is it fair? Absolutely not. But that's why, as a fan base, you got to get behind the moves that these guys have made. You got to somewhat listen to what the locker room is saying about how the change has affected them as players. The way, golly, if Denard Wilson talk one more time, I think we all might run through a wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the types of things that you got to do to reset your franchise. And, of course, with the money that they spent, you hope it's going to the good this year, too. Because, again, picking in the top 5, like, this team went, 6-11 this year?
Last year, you mean?
Last year? Yeah. My
6
record's
games,
off.
I believe.
6 games.
6-11.
Yeah.
6-11, and you pick 7th. How many more losses do you have to accumulate to pick in the top 5?
You're probably talking about a 4-13 team.
I just don't see that. I don't see that.
With the...
If that happens, Will Levis either really stinks,
Right, or he gets hurt or something.
or he got hurt.
That's what I was just about to ask you. For you to go 4-13, somebody like is really trash, or the bottom fell out. All right, and again, I know Mason, so I think he can somewhat navigate the waters a little bit better than a 4-13 record. I hope Mason Rudolph. I'm gonna give him a little bit more grace in that. So if it's not for Levis and he's not playing well, because it is predicated on the quarterback a lot of the times. Let's say if Levis gets hurt. Well, Mason, I think, is a fair enough veteran to be able to man the ship. So where are these losses coming from? Is the division in the AFC South that much stronger than we actually are giving it credit for? Like, I know Houston is good, but there is a sophomore slump waiting. At least we can say that for Houston if it doesn't go right for him. And the fact that Anthony Richardson doesn't have that much time under his belt either at the quarterback position, their offensive line had its issues too. And, of course, Trevor Lawrence, they've been budding, and he hadn't shown his potential also. Their owner came out and said it was one of the most catastrophic endings to a season their franchise has ever had. He must not have been a Jags fan for a very long time because they've been trash.
Yeah, wait till he hears about 1999 and all 3 losses the Jags had that were all to the Titans, including the AFC Championship game.
He must not know, huh, Will?
Yeah,
I just think it's interesting when you talk about notoriety, going back to that with Will Levis. And I look at Cincinnati as a good example of not a major market. That's not a major market. Honestly, I could argue it's a smaller market in terms of really caring about it compared to Nashville. The only reason in recent, in terms of recently that we've been talking about him is because of one thing, and that's Joe Burrow. Yeah. And even with Zach Taylor, being a head coach who has had success, it's not like we're talking about Zach Taylor that much. We're talking about the quarterback, because he has been the guy that brings national eyes to the scene. He's quirky. He's obviously a winner. He won in college. That's why I feel like Will Levis has an opportunity to bring more eyes to this Titans franchise if he really does take that next step. And I think people are weary about it because he didn't win a national championship in college. He did have some struggles his final year, right? So they don't have as much, proof in the pudding necessarily as of recent as they did in a guy like Joe Burrow, who's also in a mid-market, who has brought them to a Super Bowl appearance too. So, but I think Will Levis has the opportunity to do that. I really do.
You got the 49ers this thing. You got to get a quarterback nobody assumes is going to do well. A defense
And he
play
gets
better.
credit now.
Yeah, Brock Purdy does. You got the 49ers this thing. Is essentially what you got to do. I don't know what side of the ball is going to be the one to take the national praise. I'm hoping for
It'll be the
interesting.
offense.
You think it's the
this head
offense?
coach, it's the offense.
Okay. But you got the 49ers. Nobody believed in Brock Purdy until you absolutely showed it.
Yeah, I think nationally, Will Levis gets respect because a couple of his biggest performances were in primetime.
They were.
In Pittsburgh, in Miami. Nationally, I think the conversation's pretty positive around Levis, to be honest with you. Sometimes a little too positive.
I'm with you on that one. The 4-touchdown game put him on the map.
100%.
You know that's there.
100%.
But overall, they're still uncertain about him as a guy that can bring him to the next level, because otherwise they wouldn't be saying that the Titans are going to pick fourth. I mean, it's kind of a weird situation.
To me, when national guy talks about Will Levis and the Titans, it's, oh, that Will Levis guy's got potential, but man, they shouldn't have fired Vrabel.
It is.
I feel like that's
I
it
don't
every
see that
single
as
time.
much.
Oh, yeah.
He's
I did
still-
a show in Green Bay yesterday. One of the first questions. So tell me, why did they fire Mike Vrabel? You know, what's kind of the thought process behind that? Like, take us in the local angle, because a lot of people still don't understand that. Word for word question I was asked on a radio show in Green Bay yesterday.
So that's like the micro side of it, right?
That's
I
what
mean,
made
the
me
macro,
think of
macro side
Yeah,
of it.
right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm looking at the schedule. Like, I'm 3 to 4 games is what they're projecting. That's crazy.
As of right
Yeah,
now, the
that's
Titans are
wild.
not favored in a game this year.
That's crazy to me.
Yep.
Even with Indianapolis, they still get more credit with Anthony Richardson, and I get it. They've got
They got a really good
some
offensive line.
offensive line
They can
play,
protect
right?
him.
Right.
Ooh. They had issues, but you expect it to get back. Picking, so there's, what do? Do you want James Pierce, or you want to pick 4th overall? And then that's the other thing too. Well, no, I guess you can't answer that question. Do you get a quarterback if you're picking in the top 5?
And that's the thing. If you're picking in the top 5, it means Will Levis either stinks or he still hasn't been able to prove himself. So,
Or he's hurt.
Carson Beck, come on down.
Yeah.
Lord.
I would think they probably might have to rip the Band-Aid off at that point.
Lord.
615-737-1045 is our number. More NFL headlines. A disgruntled wide receiver still doesn't have a deal. A new report out there out of the West Coast we'll tell you about next. Well, the first week in July, you got options in your sports talk. You can talk about hot dogs. You can talk baseball, NHL free agency, or wide receivers and contract disputes. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, 615-737-1045. Preds defenseman Brady Skjei coming up in 15 minutes. Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers, according to a report, still don't have a deal. Had conversations recently, according to NBC Sports Bay Area, but, quote, they are no closer to a deal, but they are also no closer to a trade request. That's never been something that has been explored in this case. True or false? Brandon Aiyuk will get a new contract for the 49ers within 2 weeks of week 1.
I think, yeah. I think with all this drama that has unfolded, and more so has been on his part, that he's let everybody into every part of the situation. I think with all the drama that has ensued, I really do feel like they're going to figure it out in the end.
I go false. I think it's too big of a headache and going to be too expensive of a player to keep around, considering Brock Purdy's around the corner to also to get paid. I'm going to go false. I don't think they're going to be strong-armed the way they were with Deebo Samuel this time around.
And Nick Bosa.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just surprised it hasn't happened then yet. If that's their plan and they know that's their plan, like, why the heck hasn't it happened yet?
Because they probably want to put him in a bad situation where he doesn't know the entire playbook of the team he's going to go to next. That's. I think teams are petty like that, and maybe I'm thinking about too much as a player. It's like, oh, they just want to screw us over. But that's the way I feel about it. That's just me.
They'll get a deal with him.
You think they'll get a deal?
Yeah, I do. It's going to be just like Nick Bosa a year ago. Didn't he get a contract on the Thursday night the football season began?
I think so.
It was last minute.
I think it's the week before the season. They'll figure something out. I know they drafted Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver out of Florida, who can step in and do his job. Heck, Jawan Jennings even got a contract extension before Brandon Aiyuk did. But 49ers will blink. Ayuk's not going anywhere. This is classic receiver drama that fills our sports talk radio fodder in July.
I'll put $1 on the table that it doesn't.
It's better than the 50 push-up bet I made with you last year.
You want $1? We'll bet $1 on that one. What's the deal?
You got a fresh dollar, I heard,
recently.
did
get a fresh dollar.
You know what?
I don't even know if I can say
Use
that on there.
I know.
Yeah. I did. I'll bet that $1.
In the mail.
Go by Magic City? Like, what do you...
You trying to go to Magic?
That would not be a fresh dollar.
Yeah,
that dollar.
That might be crumpled up.
Out of like the cash machine or something.
No.
Like you go to Vegas and you cash out at the end and you get the crispest dollar you've ever received.
Yeah, you do.
So funny.
I don't know. That's where I thought you were going with that. Like I got a fresh dollar. Like what are you talking about?
Boy, drop Magic today.
I'm not saying you were there, but
drop by
I was confused.
You mentioned I want to take you. Like what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Will, have you ever been?
Absolutely not.
We'll load up the van for that one.
I don't see any scenario.
He's got the party van still, right?
Text coming in from Ron Slay in 3, 2,
Yeah,
I was going to say, I'm
Right?
surprised it hasn't already hit my phone.
Exactly.
My watch has not dinged me yet.
If he doesn't play for the 49ers, who do you think he plays for?
Pittsburgh.
Shut up.
No.
It is.
Really?
That is the rumor,
Okay,
is that
okay.
he's going to go play with his twin, Mike Tomlin.
So you're not buying into the Jaden Daniels, Arizona State playing 1 year together, best friends forever hype.
I got too much newness going on.
That'd be
over
my
there.
next guess after the Pittsburgh game.
Pittsburgh got the money for it. They got a quarterback and get him the ball, and they also they got an Arthur Smith offense. Do you really need a wide receiver number 2? They got 3 tight ends over there also.
You always use wide receivers.
Yeah. Right now, the reason I say I think Pittsburgh is the most viable is because it's George Pickens and then Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah, I could see that being a spot for him.
Yeah. It's
Russell Wilson throwing to him.
And Omar Khan, who's the GM over there, plays hardball at times. So I can see this being a situation.
Is he the lookalike of Tomlin, Ayuk?
Yes.
Ayuk,
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes my brain just
brain be braining.
Steelers wide receivers are George Pickens, Van Jefferson, shout out Middle Tennessee, Roman Wilson, Kelvin Austin III, shout out Memphis, Quez Watkins, Scotty Miller, Des Fitzpatrick, Marquez Callaway, shout out Tennessee.
Low balls. Ain't no question.
Jacob Copeland, former Tennessee commit for about 5 minutes before he went to Florida and then transferred to Maryland.
Ugh. So, yeah, how do you feel about that group right there?
Yeah, not exactly a who's who, but I don't know. Roman Wilson. Solid rookie, but
they've always been a team who's been able to develop wide receivers anyway.
Yeah,
You know,
but How you know that? Because we beat y'all so many times.
Because y'all just keep drafting all of them, dude. You keep it's Mike Wilson or Mike Wallace or it's AB. It's all these
Calvin
dudes,
Austin,
man.
Emmanuel.
Send all these dudes home. I hope y'all have bombs catching balls.
Well, Mike Wallace went to y'all and set a franchise record.
That's right. That's right. Own you guys. That slant to the house.
By the
Mike
way,
Tomlin couldn't trip him.
He could
Slay's
not.
in. He's in for Magic City.
He's in for the Magic?
Yeah, he said in the FNM
Magic City Mondays, Will.
Orlando Magic.
If you ever get to the point to where you allow us at some point in your life, I don't know
His
how when it's going to be.
bachelorette
Bachelorette?
Bachelorette?
No, hell
Bachelor
no.
party, I'm
Whoa,
sorry.
Will.
Bachelor party.
Put you in a tutu.
Oh.
Bachelor party.
Disrespectful.
Sorry.
Well, if you ever get to the point where we can take you on a bachelor trip or a bachelor party, Magic City.
Magic
I don't
City.
see any scenario.
Well, it's gonna be bigger than
I
Ron
do
Slade's
see a
wedding.
scenario of Brady Skjei joining us. The Nashville Predators' newest defenseman joins the show next.
Hey, it's Kayla and Ramon with our friends at Window Nation. It is getting hot out there. Supposed to peak 100 degrees today. That means your AC, it's going to be going in full blast. You want to keep that energy in, and the way to do it is having stable windows. And right now, our friends at Window Nation have a great deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows for free, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years.
And here's the thing. Window Nation, they are truly window experts, man. Window Nation professional installation teams have over 10 years of experience. They do a 50-point inspection on every window before it leaves the factory. A 20-point installation inspection on every window, period, okay? With 96% of the windows having no follow-up service. Kayla just told you, man. Buy 2, get 2 free at windownation.com. See them, call them. 866-90-NATION.
What's going on? Just about 7:59. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. As the NBA and NHL free agency periods continue to rage on, the NFL stays stagnant, as it will for one free agent, Tayshaun Gibson, who was suspended the first 6 games of the 2024 season. Gibson, who is currently a free agent, started 165 games, including 33 over the last 2 years with the 49ers. But in the NBA, yesterday, the Warriors parted way with one of their longtime pillars of success in Klay Thompson, and now they're actively trying to replace him. Shams Charania are reporting that the Warriors are in serious talks for a sign-and-trade deal to acquire Buddy Hield from the 76ers, working on to finalize that deal to acquire one of the NBA's best three-point shooters. And now back to the show with Preds' new defenseman, Brady Skjei. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. The Zone.
And the show goes on into the second half, and our number 3 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5. The Zone, a Wednesday morning that feels a little bit like a Friday. Hope you were enjoying your 4th of July week with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. It has been a great week to be a Nashville Predators fan. A hat trick of signings made by General Manager Barry Trotz. And joining us now, new defenseman Brady Skjei, live here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brady, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. Obviously, the last few days have been really exciting, and we're pumped to get down to Nashville.
Well, we're excited to have you here, man. What stood out to you about this organization as you went through free agency? What made the Predators the best organization for you?
I think it was the future, like the youth they have coming through, the top end players they have. I feel like they're going to be able to win for a long time here, and that was a big thing for me. Is I want to go to somewhere that had a chance to win, and obviously adding guys like Stamkos and Marchessault just make it that much better. So I think it's going to be a very competitive team, and the main thing I wanted looking for a team was a team that has a chance to win, and Nashville definitely checked that box.
Brady, have you had a chance to talk with Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault? Have you been connected with them?
I actually have not yet. I've talked to just about. I got texts from most of the guys on the team and got a phone call from Roman Yossi, and everyone's just been super nice. Talked to the coach and assistant coach and Barry Trotz, obviously. So everyone's been very welcoming. I'm just excited to get down there and meet everyone kind of face to face.
Preds defenseman Brady Skjei, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brady, we know a little bit about Barry Trotz, the coach. In your conversations with Barry Trotz, the GM, what impresses you the most about him, and what is he like as a general manager?
Well, I've had just a short conversation with them, but it was all super positive, and I felt very welcomed and wanted, which was great. And but you just hear from guys around the league of how great of a person he is, and I think that obviously speaks volumes. So I've heard nothing but amazing things about him, and I'm excited to kind of get to know him a little more. And just like I said, excited to get down to Nashville.
Preds new defenseman Brady Skjei with us on RKW. So, Brady, you back in Minnesota right now? Are you guys hanging out there with your fam?
I am, yes. We got back here a little bit ago, and in the gym and on the ice now. So that's where I do most of my summer training, and I got all my family. My wife's family is all from here. So
yeah,
we got a good group of guys. A lot of guys that play in the NHL and train here and skate here. So it's a good setup.
And it's perfect weather in Minnesota this time of year, definitely. Now that you will be coming to Nashville, I'm just interested as an opponent when you came to Nashville, what it was like to play here and what you're looking most forward to playing here in Smashville.
Yeah, as an opponent, it's really tough to play in. There's no question. I mean, the fans are amazing. They're loud. I remember during that COVID season when we played Nashville a ton in Carolina, and coming to you guys' rink, it was packed and loud, and it was kind of the first time seeing fans again, and that definitely stuck out to me. And no, it's just a tough place to play, and obviously the way that the team plays is fast and in your face, and they have elite talent with guys like Forsberg and Yossi, and it's just it's a hard place to play, and hopefully now we can make it a little tougher.
Speaking of one of those guys that you mentioned in Roman Yossi, has just had a fantastic career as a defenseman, so consistent, just has done so much here for the Preds organization. Now you join him here. What do you look forward to in terms of, being on a team with that guy?
Well, I'm excited to see him, day in and day out, and just kind of learn from him. And I kind of did similar things in Carolina, being able to compete and learn and play with guys like Jacob Slavin and Brett Pesci and Brent Burns. It was always fun to practice with them and try to pick their brain and learn a few things. And I think Roman Yossi is obviously one of the best, if not the best, defenseman in the league. So to be able to play with him every day and see him and how he gets ready for games and practices, I'm just excited. I'm going to try to be a sponge and learn as much as I can and try to get better.
Preds defenseman Brady Skjei joining us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brady, I have to ask you, man, as a guy that's gone from being a youth to all the way to the pros, man, what was that path like on the hockey side of things? Because hockey has grown here in Middle Tennessee also, and I just want to know, when did you know that you were capable of playing at a high level, and what was that path as far as being an amateur to the pros like for yourself?
Yeah, so in Minnesota, it's obviously hockey's huge, and it seems like every kid plays hockey growing up. So I think I probably knew that I wanted to take this way more seriously when I went to the national development team in Ann Arbor, Michigan, my junior year. That was probably a big step for me, and like I said, it was like top 20 so guys in the country, and playing with them every day was huge. And then after that, I graduated high school and went to the University of Minnesota and played 3 years there with some great players. And I was close to home, which was nice, and go home for some home-cooked meals whenever I wanted. And then obviously I got drafted to New York and played there for a little bit, and then Carolina for a few years too. So it was a crazy path. But it was worked out pretty well.
And with that being said, too, you've played other sports. I saw you former quarterback in high school and also played golf, too. How did you transition from such cushy positions like quarterback and golf to being a defenseman, man? What changed in your mind?
I don't know. I guess that's very true. I was playing all the cushy positions in other sports. I always knew hockey was the sport. I enjoyed football and I enjoyed golf, but I thought I had the best chance at hockey, and I liked hockey the most. But it was fun. In Minnesota, you play football in the spring, and then hockey in the winter, and golf in the spring. Football in the fall, hockey in the winter, and golf in the spring. So it's a great mix. It kind of breaks up the sports a little bit, which I definitely enjoyed. And but yeah, I'm glad I chose hockey.
Brady Skjei, Nashville Predators defenseman, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brady, you mentioned Roman Yossi. Do you see yourself playing alongside him on that top pairing? And what do you know about what your role will look like in this Predators team this season?
I'm not sure. I think that'll all kind of get decided when we get down to training camp. That's obviously a coach's decision. I'd love to play with Roman. I think in that case, I'd just try to get him the puck and let him do whatever he wants to do. I just think I'll try to play a 200-foot game and try to contribute offensively, but focus on defense and playing with other teams' top lines, and just try to help out in any way I can. That's kind of how I've gone about my whole career, and just trying to do what I can to help the team win.
Brady, when it comes to just the playoff experience that you've been able to get the past few years in Carolina, has been such a competitive teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. What can you, in terms of that experience, bring here? There are guys on the roster who've obviously made it in that, but you guys being able to go so much more deeper in the playoffs.
Yeah. Obviously, the last few years I've had a lot of playoff experience. Obviously, never got over the hump, but I think just that playoff intensity and playoff atmosphere you don't get used to, but you feel confident in it and feel comfortable, and I think that is the best time of the year. There's no question. That's the most fun, and everyone comes together. It's a ton of fun, and I'm just excited to learn from guys that have won it, and I want to try to do my best to help this team win it and get over the hump. That's the number one goal.
Being in this situation where you're switching cities and teams and you're coming in with a nice group of guys in this free agency this year too, is there pressure in knowing that you guys have, I called it yesterday, a big three coming into a new city to, deliver a Stanley Cup here, you seeking yours and being around guys that have won it? Is there added pressure in knowing that there's been a lot of talk around you guys coming to this city nationally?
I don't know if it's added pressure. I think we're going to try to just take it day by day. Obviously, it's you can't win it in one day. You gotta take a whole year and build for it, and that's kind of going to be my mindset. I'm sure our mindset is take it day by day, keep getting better, and come together as a group, and I think we'll do that. So I don't know, added pressure, but that's definitely at the top of the list and the number one goal we want to achieve.
New Preds defenseman Brady Skjei, our guest. Brady, I've got to ask you the question that I'm sure you get all the time. How many times a year do people ask you about the Saturday Night Live skit where your name was in the Chance the Rapper Laszlo Holmes skit of SNL in 2017?
I get asked quite a bit. There's no question. It was a really cool, obviously, skit and moment for me. I was watching it in my apartment in New York when it was going on, and I saw the actor walk on screen. I saw the 7 on his jersey, and I was sitting with Kevin Hayes, and I was like, dude, I think that might be my jersey. And sure enough, the guy turned around and then saw my name, and then my phone just blew up like you wouldn't believe. So it was pretty cool, and I guess my tricky last name helped me get on there.
I love it, Brady. So what is the worst pronunciation you've ever heard of someone trying to say your last name?
I don't even know if there's been so many. I think the funny ones are the ones that they mess up the first name too. I don't think Brady's that hard, but I'll get Brad, I'll get Brandy. So I've heard every single one for the last name, but when they mess the first name up too, that's usually pretty good.
That's Norwegian descent, right, Brady?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you guys been able to get back or visit your homeland at all? I know you're not from there, but I know you're probably grandparents and stuff migrated over here. Have you guys ever been able to check out that part of the world?
I've actually gone one time. I went and played in Matt Zuccarello's charity hockey game over there, which was a ton of fun. So I've been there once. It was pretty quick, but I think we've definitely talked about heading back there and actually being able to see the country and all that. So I've been once, but it was pretty short.
Brady Skjei has been our guest this morning. I kid, of course. Brady Skjei been our guest this morning here on VolQuest and Will. Brady, man, we're excited to welcome you to Nashville. I'm sure we'll do it again soon. And best of luck as you prepare for the new season, man. Thank you for the time.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. I'm pumped to get down there.
Thanks,
yes,
Brady.
sir. There he is, Brady Skjei, with us here this morning. I appreciate him taking some time.
Brady Skjei.
If you've not seen that SNL skit, we talked about it when he was signed.
Yeah.
But it's Chance the Rapper. He goes, his name is spelled Skjei. And it's Chance the Rapper, who is the Knicks reporter in this circumstance, going, that is an S next to a K to a J. Huh, that's a nope.
That was a great skit by
That's great.
I could imagine that being on SNL.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
He's awesome.
A little bit of breaking news this morning that I can tell you about real quick before we get to Brent Hubbs on the other side. Nashville SC has appointed U.S. men's national team assistant coach B.J. Callahan as its new head coach. The former interim head coach of the U.S. men's national team, who led the U.S. to a Nations League title last summer in very entertaining fashion. Will take over for Nashville Soccer Club on July 22nd before their first game against Mazatlan of Liga MX in Leagues Cup. This is a home run hire by the Boys in Gold, by Mike Jacobs, by Ian Ayre and John Ingram. I am very, very excited. This was one of the best coaches on the market. Nashville SC, the first team to hire a new head coach in the MLS season. Big deal.
Nice.
To get BJ Callahan.
Nashville going to be ran by the Callahan?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's up with it? With
Seriously.
Nashville SC just copying? They got a Tyler Boyd. Oh, now Nashville SC got to get a Tyler Boyd.
That's right.
The Titans get a Callahan. Oh, now the Nashville SC got to get a Callahan.
That's right.
I mean, the Titans spent a lot of money, then the Preds spent a lot of money. Like, what are we doing?
I get to step. He get the clock radio.
He cannot afford.
Great success.
Does he have a dad? Does he have a dad that's a really good soccer
assume he has
coach?
a dad.
Yeah, he's probably some junior.
Does he have a dad?
Does he have a dad?
So I think his first name is actually Brian. Also,
Get outta
in
here.
the BJ. No, I'm serious.
Brian Joseph.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
So both Nashville
wild.
SC and the Titans have a Brian Callahan as their head coach.
We got to talk.
We got to
Bill.
be careful when
Officially
news
official.
drops.
I'll tell you what, there are a lot of U.S. men's national team fans that are would have loved for BJ to be the U.S. coach. This is an international level coach, really important in Jim Curtin's system of Philadelphia Union in developing young talent, and I think that played a major role in him getting this gig. So excited to work with him. Excited for BJ Callahan to be the new head coach of Nashville Soccer Club. Big time.
Good stuff.
Coming up next, Brent Hubbs of VolQuest normally joins us on Fridays. This is our Friday, our last show of the week, and he will join us next. It is a Wednesday morning that's going to feel a little bit more like a Friday right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, joined by VolQuest's Brent Hubbs. This is a Friday for us. Last show of the week, so he joins us here on this Wednesday. Brent, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to see Ramon's back from his Around the World in 80 Days trip. So good to have you back, my friend.
In a presidential year, Brent, he got the presidential vacation package this year.
There we go.
Hubbs, man, welcome back, man. I'm glad to talk to my guy, man. I needed you to know it wasn't personal, okay? Blame my kids is all I'm going to tell you. It wasn't personal, my brother, okay?
Well, we know who's wearing the pants in that family.
They also robbing my pockets, okay? You know how this early amateur stuff goes, Hubbs, man.
Oh, trust me, I know. They've had an NIL deal for a long time with you, Ramon.
Man, I promise you, dude. I'm like, I ain't got season tickets yet, but I might as well start paying somebody besides them.
I love it.
I love it.
Yes, Hubbs, sir. Welcome back. Well, no, it's me welcoming myself back to you, Hubbs. So I'm glad to be. I get excited for this segment. Okay, I'm talking too much. Like I got a crush on you or something.
Oh, goodness.
I'm done.
Brett, Marion Dye commits to Tennessee since we last spoke to you. What is Tennessee getting in him?
Just a terrific athlete whose best ball is in front of him. Guy's going to weigh 270 pounds and can run and going to be a strong side defensive end and can slide inside some and play. I don't know what he's ultimately going to be like, but he kind of reminds you of a little bit of a Turk McBride type guy, maybe a little better athlete than McBride, but McBride was an outside-inside guy, could do that. He kind of reminds me a little bit of that kind of body type. He's unpolished. I mean, he's got work to do to become polished and a finished product, but I think the upside for him is just fantastic. It's a great get for Tennessee.
And I don't think we talked to you Friday about Trey Poteet as well, and what Tennessee gets in him, a defensive back and a three-star guy. What does Tennessee like the most about him?
Versatility. You know, he can play corner, he can play star, he might grow into a safety. I think that when you look at Tennessee's defensive back recruiting under Tim Banks and Willie Martinez, they like guys who can play multiple spots. Boo Carter's a guy who's going to play star, but he could play corner, might grow into a safety if you wanted him to play safety. They like that versatility if they can find it. And I think Poteet is a guy who's got the kind of versatility that they're looking for, who is not pigeonholed into one spot, but could develop and grow into multiple different positions for him in the secondary.
Brent Hubbs, VolQuest on 3, joining us this morning. Hubbs, it's that time of the year where these recruits start to commit. June is a big month. July is super big, man. What's to be expected for the Vols coming down the pipeline soon, man, as they try to crank up and try to get in that top 10 recruiting class this year?
Well, it's about how you finish with some guys, and really a lot of it's in the state of Georgia. When you talk about a couple of linebackers down there, and Christian Gass is the guy that I think Tennessee's more involved there than originally thought. He had a really good visit to Tennessee. Tennessee's selling him on playing outside and inside at linebacker. Georgia's more of an inside linebacker deal for him. So we'll see what happens with that one. But I think Tennessee made a really good impression with him on his official visit. Jaden Pilati is a linebacker that William Inge is recruiting like crazy. He's been committed to Georgia. Most people don't think he's going to end up in the Georgia class. Florida State's kind of been the other school to watch there. Again, I think Tennessee's done a nice job with him. Both those guys should come off the board here in the next 10 days to 2 weeks in terms of a decision. Staying in Georgia, you got Travis Smith, the wide receiver from Atlanta Westlake. I think Tennessee's probably out in front there with him. Auburn, he says, is still in it, but they've been kind of on the back burner, in my opinion, for a while. Georgia's been there, but Georgia's taken a couple other receiver commits. Alabama's in with a couple other five-star commits or five-star receivers. They're kind of waiting on. I think Travis Smith's ready to make a decision. He loves Tennessee's offense, and I think George McIntyre's helped a lot with Travis Smith as they've gotten to know each other at the On3 Elite event there in Nashville a month or so ago, and I've carried on a conversation. I think Tennessee feels like Travis Smith is a great fit for their offense. That's one to watch for sure. everybody's on David Sanders' watch, the talented offensive tackle from over in Charlotte, North Carolina. I still think it's going to be August before he announces anything. I think he wants to do it at his school. He did tell us there was a chance if he makes a decision and is done, then he will go ahead and announce at some point. He doesn't want to drag it out if he knows exactly where he's going. They have completely shut it down. And that family is in a full-blown decision-making mode, evaluating all of their options. And I think that's Tennessee, Ohio State as the two finalists. Big priority, probably the biggest priority for both schools. It's just one of those deals where nobody's going to go down without a fight. Neither team's going to be there. There's rumors out there that Ohio State's going to write a blank check. I don't know what that means. I don't think anybody's writing a blank check, but NIL's a factor. I think proximity could be a factor. I think his relationship with George and other guys in his class can be a big factor as well, which is, he's seen Tennessee a lot over the course of the last 6-7 weeks, which has got to be a help to Tennessee, but we'll see how that one finishes out. So those are kind of some of the priority names. Shady Hayward, is the defensive back from down in Atlanta. He'll announce on his birthday later this month. I think that's Tennessee. Tennessee's led there, and then he kind of got into the visit cycle in June and acted like he fell in love with every place he went to. He visited Tennessee last. I think that Tennessee swung the momentum back in their favor with him. But again, it's about closing and finishing. This time a year ago, we were talking about, well, we think Tennessee's in great shape with this guy, that guy, and this guy, and they didn't close as strong as they wanted to. Their challenge is to close strong this month, because this is a critical month for putting that class together.
No doubt about it, Hubs. With that being said, the perception is Tennessee should be good this year. So I've seen some say 10-2, et cetera, but that's all on the contingency of the quarterback. How do you view Nico Iamaleava, man, as a quarterback? I look at his tape, specifically the bowl game. You view him as a pocket passer with the ability to run? Because, again, you watch him run and you think about his size. Like, has he gotten thicker also over this summer break? And how do you view his play to help this team be good this fall?
Well, I think he's a guy who is a pocket passer who can extend plays, who can throw off platform. And that's the new catchphrase everybody throws out there, is that he can throw off platform, which means he can throw on the run or out of the pocket. He looks to extend plays. He can tuck it and run. I think they'll be careful with him and running him. And what I mean by that is I think it'll be a little bit of that 22 Hendon Hooker role. Big games, key games, games where the run game, where you think you have to run him to have the best chance to win the game, they're going to run him, which is what Tennessee did with Hooker against Alabama, what they did with him against Florida that year. But I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's going to carry it, 15 times a game every game. I think they'll be smart with him, run him when they need him, but it won't be a ton of design run stuff. But he can move and throw, the ball, on the move outside the pocket, which is important in this offense. I think he can avoid the rush, because there's a free rusher in this offense from time to time. And I think the biggest thing he does to this point is he's made good decisions and quick decisions. Now, we got one game as a real sample size of him, right? I mean, let's look at, the Virginia game doesn't count at that point. He played one game. He took 6 sacks. Not all of them were on him. So there's things he has to work on. He's going to be far from finished and perfect when he starts the year, which is why the hype is a little bit probably maddening to Josh Heupel, just in terms of like he's arrived, like he's a polished veteran. He's really not. But he has played well. He had a good spring. I think he's having a good summer. And, there's a lot of excitement around him, and I don't want to be anybody to temper that excitement, because I do think he's a really good player. But there's going to be some growing pains along the way when you have a second-year player. I just think that's natural. I mean, here's a newsflash to everybody. Peyton had growing pains in '95 when he was a sophomore, right? I mean, it's just part of it. You're not a finished product your second year in college football.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest joining us this morning on an RKW, usually joining us on Fridays, but it is Friday here for our show. So another player that people are really excited about, and I know we've talked with them about him a little bit on this show because he was mocked to the Titans by Matt Miller, ESPN's mock draft that's already coming out. 4th overall. I know Titans fans probably don't want to pick that, but they would probably be okay with a guy like James Pierce Jr. How much better, Brent, can he get this season?
Well, he's going to be stronger. He's gotten bigger. He played about 242 last year. I think he's going to play probably 10 pounds heavier this year. I think he's elite. When you talk about finished product, yeah, there's things he can continue to work on, but he has a full season under his belt, and he got better and better as the year went on this past year. I think the interesting thing with James Pierce is you can do different stuff with him. I think he can line up on either side, depending on where you think you have an advantage. You can run a lot of stunts with him. He can drop in coverage. He can cover guys out of the flat if you need him to or want him to. I think his versatility is what the NFL foams at and what they look at and go, wow, I like what this guy can do. He is not a third down pass rush specialist only. I think he can be an every down player in the National Football League. And I said this, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Micah Parsons with the Cowboys, who I think is a really good player who's more versatile than I think anybody gave him credit for coming out of college. I think there's some of those traits there with James Pierce. And I think James Pierce is all about ball right now. I think he's completely locked in and dialed in, which is fabulous for Tennessee and fabulous for him because he's going to shake the commissioner's hand very early in the draft if he stays healthy.
Pierce also named to that Walter Camp Football Foundation first team list for the All-American team. And another guy named to that list is Tennessee center Cooper Mays. What can you tell us in terms about what we can expect from him coming out of the gates, just really considering last year he was coming off that hernia surgery?
Well, I put him in bubble wrap is what I would do. And listen, Ramon, I know you don't like to hear that because, I mean, you guys got to have contact. You guys got to hit in the preseason to get yourself in shape and get yourself ready to go. But he is so vital to what Tennessee does at that center position. Nico needs him. He can help Nico a lot, I think, with the tempo and making calls and adjusting and fixing wrongs. I just think he's so important for what Tennessee's doing this fall that you got to be really smart with him in fall camp. He is a little heavier and stronger. I know that's been a focal point of his. I think this offseason, by allowing him to lift and do more things in the weight room, he had some limitations, middle part of the summer last year. They were trying to figure out, didn't really know what the problem was there. He was dealing with some pain, and they were trying to be cautious with him there. I think he's been full go this summer, which is great for him in the weight room because, he's light. He's not the heaviest guy. So sometimes a big, heavy nose can give him some trouble. But, man, for what he does for this offense from a mental standpoint, it is just so important.
VolQuest Brent Hubbs with us this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brent, we talked a lot about Deshaun Brame, the talented tight end, in a battle that came down to Tennessee and Oregon. Goes the way of the Ducks over the weekend. What ultimately do you think made the difference for him picking Dan Lanning in Oregon over Tennessee?
I'd say NIL was a big factor late Friday evening. All the Oregon insiders had him pegged to Tennessee Friday afternoon. We certainly felt like Tennessee was in a great position with him. And then I think a late phone call from the Ducks flipped things around and changed things up late Friday before his Saturday decision. Interesting, his girlfriend's coming to Tennessee. She's already signed to play soccer at Tennessee. So I kind of thought, you kind of thought that was the icing on the cake, right? But he's going the opposite direction than she's heading at this point. And, I do think NIL was a factor. Oregon was long thought to be the leader. And I think Tennessee did a great job with him on the visit. I think he was feeling Tennessee really good after the visit and even feeling Tennessee after the Oregon visit. But at the end of the day, I think, Oregon made him a huge priority. Tennessee already had a tight end on their roster. Bryan was the only other tight end Tennessee was going to take. They will focus next year, tight end for the 25 class with Carson Snead there in Nashville and and a couple other tight ends around the country is where they'll focus there. But they would have taken Bryan. That's the only other tight end they were recruiting or would have taken. And ultimately he decided in the midnight hour he was going to Oregon. Shocked many people, including the Oregon people that follow recruiting, because they had kind of conceded that he was going to go to Tennessee and what they thought was an upset. And then it flips back Friday night, Saturday morning.
But with that being said, recruiting's not over, number one, right? Unless they make him sign a contract for the NIL that he may have agreed to. But we spoke about this, I think, yesterday. I wanted to ask you this question. With Juan Gaston and just others that are coming, David Sanders, that are potentially Vol targets, and they lose down the stretch, what do the Vols have to do as far as the NIL collective to be able to close those deals? Do you bid to compete? Because that's what we're really talking about right now is, all right, Vols were close. Well, when do you stop being close and say, screw it, we're going to spend it?
Well, I think this is the challenge. This is the challenge for collectives and coaches out there. And I think we've talked about this before. College coaches don't get told no very often, right? I mean, they just don't. They if they need another staff person, another office person, then suddenly there's budget for that. If they need a private plane in 10 minutes time to get somewhere, they generally get that. Most of the time, if they want to play on a different night, they get that. I mean, they just don't get told no very often. But the reality is you're not playing with monopoly money. So you really have to evolve this thing and continue to evolve it into a bit of an NFL model. Now, you don't have a cap like the NFL, but you have to look at where's the best value, where's the biggest value, and the biggest value is position and then your need, okay? The center position at Tennessee is probably going to command more money than some other centers because they ask their center to do a lot. But in most cases, you're talking about quarterback, guys who can protect the quarterback off the edge at the tackle position, and then guys who can rush the quarterback and then cover corners. That's kind of where the NFL is, right? When you talk about NFL draft. Now, if there's a team that, man, they've just lost a Hall of Famer linebacker, then maybe they take a linebacker earlier in the draft than some other teams would. But you're really basing it off need and your priorities. And you have to make some of those decisions. And sometimes you just have to say, no, we're not going there. That's enough. And then other times you say, we got to have that guy. And the whole time the position coach is going, I can't play football without having this guy. Mm-hmm. And the head coach has got to go, you know what? We're going to make it work without this guy because we're going to focus on this other player that we need because it's a greater need for us. Because, again, unlike what people think out there, it is not monopoly money. It is real money, and you have to have some kind of semblance of a budget and kind of prioritize some things. And that is the new way of roster management thinking that head coaches are having to deal with that they never dreamed was going to be needed when they talked about becoming a head football coach. They never thought managing a budget would be anywhere on their radar screen, but it is.
Fascinating stuff with VolQuest's Brent Hubbs joining us this morning. Brent, have a happy 4th, sir. Thank you as always.
All right, thanks. Have a great 4th of July. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Brent Hubbs with us this morning, and very good perspective, as always, on the NIL front. That is how the Kennesaw State Owls will be run on NCAA Football 25 coming up in 13 days. That's how I'm going to be recruiting. We're going to ABC always be recruiting at the 11th hour with the NIL office. Thank you so much. Coming up next, a predictable but big deal in the NBA to tell you about next. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5 The Zone. And coming up at 9, we remember number 9, Steve McNair. On the 15th anniversary of his passing tomorrow, Rhett Bryan is going to stop by in studio for the entire 4th hour. We are going into the Titans radio archives for the best moments in Steve McNair's career. You are not going to want to miss it. 615-737-1045. Report this morning says that LeBron James is staying with the Lakers on a 2-year, $104 million deal.
Oh, we're so
I, for
surprised.
one, am shocked.
Run it up, Bron. Golly, I want to know what his career earned. He's
How
probably
old
close to
is he?
400. I think LeBron.
40? I think.
Yeah, 40, I think.
Okay.
30. He's
just
at least
turned 40.
39.
He will turn
Yeah.
40 on December 30th.
I was going
Okay.
to say, I'm 38. I know we were right in the same age right
Yeah.
there. Good for him. He's a Laker. I almost feel like his Laker career has overshadowed everything he's done in Cleveland. Like, he's a Cleveland kid that won a championship
Yeah.
there. And I guess the brand is
Yeah.
what does it for him and the Lakers, man. But the greatest, one of the greatest in our generation, if not the greatest in this generation, man. To win a championship, that's one thing. I guess a conversation we can have too is who's actually lived up to the I guess the expectations of being a prodigy. LeBron has Bryce Harper, yeah.
Yep.
Trout, yes.
Yep.
Mookie wasn't in that conversation of prodigy.
Nope.
No.
But guys right now look like Skeens, but Skeens didn't get it until college. No prodigy, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. There are very few athletes that are given that level of expectations. I would say Luka Doncic
Yes.
was given that level of like, hey, this is supposed to be the European next it guy.
I think
And he lived up to it.
the next one, if I'm not mistaken, y'all let me know if I'm off on this one. Arch Manning.
Yeah, he's got to play a college game.
I know, but like the opportunity, the conversation before is what I'm like
Right.
before he
Well,
got
yeah,
to college.
Of course, because he's attached to the Manning name. Yeah.
Is
That's fair.
Arch the next
Yeah.
one, I guess, to see if he lives up to it.
I would say Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, Wemby.
But
yeah.
were we talking about him here? Like before?
Wembanyama?
The way his
I'm just
draft
saying
cycle
in
went
terms-
Not
last
in
year.
Nashville, but around the
Yeah.
country,
No,
absolutely.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like when he was like younger, though,
Younger.
like in high school. You know what I'm saying? Because I think of it as like you started high school talking about these
My
guys.
algorithm showed him doing it for like 2 years before.
Wembanyama, when he was like a year away from becoming draft eligible,
Yeah.
people were discussing him as like, oh, this is the next it guy.
He definitely
I guess I
is
don't follow
in that
NBA that
conversation.
closely.
Yeah, it came across my
Kevin Durant would be the other one.
KD lived up to it.
I would say so.
Yes.
He'd probably like a few more championships. But
Yeah, I mean, he won his own championship. Is what he wants.
a good question,
And he
though.
helped win that one. Then, yeah.
Which prodigies did not live up to the hype?
Which prodigies did not?
In soccer, Freddie Adu is the big one.
I never forget. It's probably not many people think of him, but Robert Gallery is supposed to be the best offensive lineman coming out ever. He didn't turn into anything.
The most recent basketball guy to fail to reach those heights for me is Zion. Zion was supposed to be LeBron.
And
Yeah.
you know what some will say? Some will say he got it because he got the $250 million, but that's also basketball. If you stay around and Savage says it all the time, if you're McDonald's top 25, McDonald's All-American, you're going to go that route. So is Zion that? No, he's not.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Zion McDonald's, you talk about how fat he is, not the fact that he's a McDonald's All-American. Like his career is going to be marred by the baby mama drama
Yep.
with the woman
Yeah.
coming for his career,
The weight.
not being able to stay healthy,
Injuries.
Right. It's never going to be. When he played at Duke, he was awesome. Blew his shoe out game. Like no one even wants to talk about. They want to talk about the dunks, how awesome he was with Coach K.
Honestly, the next two are Connor Bedard and Caleb Williams.
And Caleb.
Yeah.
Those are the next two prodigy. Caleb Williams is the NFL prodigy.
I got another one. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, but I think Caleb Williams still overshadows him.
I think you
He's
throw
not a
Trevor
quarterback.
Lawrence in there too. People have put him on a big pedestal.
I say the only reason why is because he's attached to his dad. Like,
Marvin
so it's
Harrison?
even more of a like, okay, because I think a lot of no, I'm saying why he's bigger than.
Well, yeah, but day one
Caleb
since he went to
Williams.
Ohio State, he's been.
He didn't win a
Sure.
Heisman, though.
He won a Heisman.
Caleb Williams is bigger.
Caleb Williams is
The
bigger.
quarterback.
I think they're tit for tat. In my opinion, I think they're
It's
same
pretty
level.
close. Here's a good one though. Sidney Crosby in terms of being able to achieve it. He was
Sidney.
pegged from the beginning.
100%.
Like you are the guy, and he's lived up to it.
Look at us
Definitely.
just
Zach
riffing
Bunch, good job.
Random sports conversation.
It's that tweet of dudes can just sit around and name random athletes for hours and never get bored.
Never get bored because we could do this for a minute.
When I was a kid, Jason Hayward with the Braves, it was a big
Oh, yeah.
deal when he came up and he hit His first ever swing was a home run to right field off of Carlos Zambrano back in the day.
Sebastian Telfair was supposed to be another one that didn't. Maurice Claret, which he's turned it around, but I mean, yeah.
Tienberg says Malik Willis.
Oh,
All right. And you ruined it.
Now we go to
615 737-1045. Coming up next, we will remember number 9 at 9. Rhett Bryan joins us going through the Titans radio archives, remembering Steve McNair next.
What's going on? 9:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. As NBA and the NHL's free agency period continue to ramp up, the NFL stays pretty stagnant and will stay that way for one free agent in Tayshaun Gibson, who was suspended the first 6 games of the 2024 season yesterday. Started 165 career games, and including 33 over the last 2 years with the 49ers. Back to the NBA, where the Warriors steadily trying to replace Klay Thompson, who was traded to the Mavs, as now it's being reported by Shams Charania that they are in deep talks with the 76ers about a sign and trade deal to acquire Buddy Hield, working to finalize that deal to bring in one of the NBA's best three-point shooters. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth quarter of the show, fourth and final hour of the morning, final hour of the week on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling, joined by the man rocking the Columbia blue jersey this morning with number 9 on it. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio is in the building. Rhett, what's up?
I'm just preparing for some time, a little bit of time off before we hit the grind of football. Holiday certainly tomorrow, and hope everybody is safe and happy and healthy. Be careful with the fireworks, and please stay hydrated because it is going to be hotter than the hubs of HE double hockey sticks out there.
You ain't lying.
But yeah. So,
outstanding.
You prepping meat for barbecue?
I just asked the wife to go ahead and take some stuff out of the fridge just now. You know me way too well,
we share a kindred thing there in smoking and grilling of delicious, fine procured meats.
Yes,
I'm gonna be smoking racks of ribs.
Smacking racks.
I'll be smacking ribs too.
Sure, that too.
I love it. Maybe do some smoking in the morning and then switch over to grilling, and family's coming over, and so here we go.
Let the good times roll.
Yes, sir.
Rhett has been in the lab, as always, and I have heard just a little bit of some of the things that he has been putting together. Ramon always talks about, Rhett, that after July 4th, for players, it's football season. And you start to get yourself in game shape, start to do all these things. You are getting Titans Radio in game shape.
That's what I'm trying to do. And I've been working in the laboratory, for the last few weeks, a little bit remotely. It's my dad's surgery, but been back in here early working on stuff and just trying to do as many things as I can, knowing that when, again, kind of like the players, when 4th of July's holiday is over, it's hit it and get it time. So, but yeah. I just, when we were talking about, hey, what are we going to discuss this morning during my normal 9 o'clock visit? And I thought, tomorrow, unfortunately, is the 15th anniversary of the untimely passing of Steve McNair, Titans quarterback. Everyone out there getting ready for the holiday, you know where you were, you know what you were doing, how shocked you were. And without getting super morbid, we thought it was a good idea to discuss how Steve McNair was the next level of quarterbacks, regardless of color, that really ushered in the dual threat quarterback era.
Yeah.
The reason Will Levis does what he does and is able to run, the reason that Ryan Tannehill was able to run and do what he, it wasn't just Mike Vick. It wasn't just, and before those guys, it was Randall Cunningham. And anyway, so that's kind of where we are in this world, is if you have those dual threat skills, the more you know, the more you can do.
And I'm glad we're getting an opportunity in today's game to shine light on this too, because again, you speak about the untimely passing of Steve McNair, and you got to also think like culprit number one that we go talk to is usually Mike Vick on a dual threat quarterback conversation, right? But you got a guy that won an NFL MVP that was a dual threat quarterback in that era. Now we're seeing it be normalized to where back in the day, he's just a runner. That was the conversation. And now it was, a stigma of just being a black quarterback thing. And we spoke about this yesterday when we were talking about this topic, but we got Trevor Lawrence. You have before then. Even now, you got other quarterbacks that are dual threat. Zach Wilson. The reason he was pegged as to what he was going to be. Daniel Jones is a quarterback that runs. We're talking about all variations of quarterbacks in today's game that run with that use their legs to play football.
Absolutely,
and also have a very good arm talent. And Steve was that. Before it was cool to be that. I feel like in today's game, if you don't run as a quarterback, you somewhat get knocked. Like it used to just be, all right, looking at the rivals list when it was only rivals back in the day, pocket was a pro-style quarterback. And then you had the dual threat. And the dual threats were somewhat overlooked. And to truth be told, I played with two of those guys in college that was in the beginning of that era where you had Eric Ainge, the pro-style quarterback, versus Brent Schaefer. Remember those conversations right there? And Schaefer ended up winning it, but you ultimately went with Eric Ainge because that's what the college game and NFL game was really looking for. And now, what quarterback doesn't run?
Or has a little bit of
of mobility.
Yeah. Sure. Steve McNair, 3,590 yards rushing in his career, 5.37 yards per carry average, 37 rushing touchdowns. And we've talked about this before, but it is unbelievable how much almost identical Hall of Fame quarterback Troy Aikman's career stats are when you line them up with Steve McNair. And the difference is 3 world championships. So Troy Aikman, 61.5 completion percentage for his career, 32,942 yards. Steve McNair, 60.1% completion percentage for 31,304. 174 touchdowns to 119 interceptions for Steve McNair. 165 touchdowns, so less is Troy Aikman, and more INTs. 141. And it even comes down to Steve McNair sacked 254 times in his career. Troy Aikman 259. It's really weird, but the difference is the world championship rings. That's usually the tipping point when you're talking about someone who has a successful career. But the dual threat stuff, if I can lead this for a second, Will.
Absolutely.
McNair, Mac-9, if you were around a TV, first of all, I'd never seen so many SWAC conference games. Played on ESPN2, and this is early 90s.
Jeez.
He was a one-man wrecking crew. He was destroyed. I always go back to because he was in the running for the Heisman.
Sure.
He was at UT Chattanooga, and I want to say he had 700 yards from scrimmage and had like 7 or 8 touchdowns, like something ridiculous. But on the NFL level, it started one of my first years on the network. It was the Tennessee Oilers back then. November the 8th, 1998, at Raymond James Stadium on Sunday Night Football. This is the late Joe McConnell, the voice of the Tennessee Oilers, before Mike became the voice of the Titans. The Titans trailed 24-22 in the closing minutes of this game after Trent Dilfer hits Riedel Anthony on a 10-yard touchdown pass with just 2 minutes remaining. This is the first couple of plays, it's the very first play after the 2-minute warning. On 3rd and 8, McNair magic happened.
And a play action. Oh, he's got to hurry. And McNair gets away. He's at the 35. He's at the 40, the 45, the 50, the 45. He may go. He's going to score a touchdown. He's at the 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown, McNair. Oh, my goodness. They blitzed, and he broke away from a tackler who was all over him. 71 yards for the clincher. And the air just went out of this announcer and the Ray J.
71-yard touchdown to put the exclamation point on it. Night, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's where you started to see what he could do. You knew he could do this, but it wasn't until later on, as you mentioned, in an MVP year in 2003 under Mike Heimerdinger as the offensive coordinator, that really he started to develop as a really good passing quarterback. Mm-hmm. But if you want to know what he meant to this town, to this franchise, to the Mid-South, and certainly to his teammates. I go back to Eddie George 5 years ago when it was announced that Eddie and Steve's numbers were going to be retired. Here's Eddie George on his teammate, Steve McNair.
McNair looking deep, cuts up the middle.
I mean, I was here when Steve didn't have the confidence to throw a 5-yard out. And I was here when they booed him in the stadium, when they had to stern him. And I was there at his house when, he was contemplating retiring because he didn't enjoy the game anymore. And he didn't have the confidence anymore. I was there in Pittsburgh when Neil O'Donnell got knocked out and Steve had to come in and win the game in the fourth quarter. So I saw all of that. So in 2004, when it all came together, when it all came together for him, we stood in this room right here when Jeff Fisher got up in front of this room and announced who the MVP was. We all stood in his room and cheered for him for 10 minutes because we saw all he had to go through to get to that point as an African-American quarterback. So he had to overcome a lot of stigmas and a lot of stereotypes to prove himself in this league. So it goes beyond just the numbers. It goes beyond just what you see on the stat sheet. To see him in the locker room, trained, getting taped up and taking naps because he was tired and beat up and have to get up the next day and go out and fight. I mean, that was our culture. That's who we were. And we fought for each other. And it really means a lot to see this still being honored in this capacity to this day.
Can you imagine giving a teammate a 10-minute ovation
wild.
In a team meeting? Team meeting.
They understood the weight of it, right? That's huge right there.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
And if Eddie's telling you there's no exaggeration there. That's
right.
He was in the room. That's he's probably leading the charge.
Yeah.
It explains. You're right. The brevity and the gravity of it and what he meant, because he was the heart and soul of that whole thing.
We got more with Rhett Bryan talking about Steve McNair coming up next. More highlights, more fond memories that you will remember from the great career of Mac 9. That continues here at 9 with Rhett Bryan next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Wesley Mortgage, man. The website is whywesley.com. WHYWESLEY.com. You know the .com part, man. But I'm here to tell you this. What you don't know is the owner, Chuck McDowell, man, local Nashville native who cares about this community and is proud to serve it. Chuck reinvests in the people and the places that make Nashville such a wonderful place. While other mortgage companies, they are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in a career that they love, and they love you to join their team. Chuck and the leadership team at Wesley Mortgage have a support system in place to help you succeed in the mortgage business, ensuring your loans close on time, making sure you get paid, and giving you back the time to build your business and bring back the fun to the mortgage profession. With unique networking opportunities with the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix, they make closing deals and building relationships fun again. So if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, and just tired of micromanaging everything to make sure your clients get handled correctly, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com.
Run along in the fourth hour of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rhett, Bryan in studio with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Will Bowling. Remembering Steve McNair on the 15th anniversary of his passing tomorrow. And I've told this story before. I'll say it again. As a young kid at Edmondson Elementary on the field at recess, I was throwing up fraternity signs because that's what Steve McNair would do to celebrate touchdowns.
Young Will was a Q dog.
I had no clue.
Oh, that's so good.
No clue. But
what are people saying in the F&M Bank chat? I'm curious, by the way. Is anybody saying anything? This usually evokes some emotion.
McNair was tough as nails. I don't know if I've seen a tougher quarterback.
Yep.
Talking about one commenter says Steve went through so much adversity no one will ever know about. Another one, my two favorite games of Steve, December 26, 1999 against Jacksonville and the 0-2 game against the Giants in the Meadowlands.
And we're going to get to that.
We're going to hear about that one coming up here in a second.
We are. And that whoever you are, you're spot on. First of all, tougher quarterback, I'd argue, I don't know that there's a tougher player.
No.
Like this dude,
it was crazy.
If he had some kind of like severe amputation or a compound fracture, he's like, I'm just a rub dirt in it. Let's go out there. I'm ready to go.
This one, I hope this ain't a knock on anybody, but it just shows you the legacy of Steve, though, too. Who was in the chat said Bryan said the only consistent and clutch quarterback in Titans history. I think Steve is a high mark. Definitely, I think others are chasing, trying to get to that point.
Always.
I know that's for sure what Vince was chasing. Also, you was hoping that Vince Young turned into that also. So
there was only one problem with VY.
What's that?
VY would pull the ball down and run right every time. After defenses made the counter adjustment, that kind of
shut him down.
Yeah.
And I think there was an era of NFL quarterbacks, too, where there were a lot of really good mobile quarterbacks who defenses would adjust to. And that, I think, is the thing that was so impressive about Steve was this was not something where it was tuck and run and, all right, put a spy on him. The athleticism is better than we expected. Like, Michael Vick was even that way in some ways, where young in his career, Mike Vick was one thing. Then defenses kind of learned and figured him out. Steve McNair won an MVP well into his career as he was still doing what he did when he entered the league. I mean, the guy, genuinely, you talk about lunch pail guys in this league. He is the epitome of lunch pail guy.
Let me take you back to a better than lunch pail moment. This one, January 3rd of 2000. It was the AFC Championship game in Jacksonville. The Titans had already beaten the Jags and swept that to win the division. So, actually, no, I think Jacksonville won. Anyway, whatever. They'd already beaten Jacksonville twice, okay? And this is in the fourth quarter, and this is Derek Mason had already had a return for 80 yards and a score. So they're building off of this. But this would end up setting up a play at the 1 yard line to make the final score 31-14 before the Titans would go to Super Bowl 34. Steve McNair with the magic again.
McNair looking deep, cuts up the middle. He can run 50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15, 10, 5, dives to the 1 yard line. Like I said, run Steve McNair. Good call, Coach. Steve McNair.
And Pat Ryan with Mike Keith on the call there.
This is awesome.
Right? 51-yard run right there. And that was next play or play after, it was a 1 yard touchdown run by McNair, and they're going to Super Bowl.
The ultimate just twisting the knife for the city of Jacksonville. They're still not over that. And I don't know, until they get a trophy, I don't think they will ever be over those 3 losses. They're only 3 losses of the year were to the Titans.
They, as Ron White Tater Salad would say, they were loaded. I mean, they had talent galore. But the Achilles heel had the flame ball on their helmet.
Jeez.
I have a quick question of you, just because I wasn't obviously here during this era. You hear about all the stories, but as somebody who maybe didn't grow up a Titans or Oilers fans, when was the moment, because you heard Eddie talking about just when he came here and some of the stuff with the booze and everything, when was the moment where people really realized what he was? as a quarterback and what he could do for the franchise.
I honestly, because he had moments that we're working through here that are precursor his MVP year. But I think for anyone who had any doubt left, which there weren't many, that was a small boat people were in, it was the 2003 season when he was the co-MVP with Peyton Manning. Because, I mean, he had some fantastic performances. And it really flourished under Mike Heimerdinger as the offensive coordinator back then. But I think anybody, you could see all the, listen, when he was standing in line for God-given gifts, I think he got in line twice or something because he just was overly blessed. But he, in talking to him and talking to his mother, Lucille, and his brothers in previous interviews for things I'd done for Titans Radio, they were out in, Mount Olive, Mississippi, and, it's dirt and rocks. And, he would play football with his younger brothers. His mother, Lucille, would say, son, you can't come in here crying every time you fell down or something. So that country tough stuff was really brought on by a little tough love from his mom and his brothers, a couple of which played at Alcorn State. One of them played with him. He was tougher than a stump. I'd never seen anything like it. And that's why he, for the beating he took in his whole career, I think he only missed 9 games, which was nuts. And there was periods, there were stretches of seasons. You heard Eddie mention the sternum. He had a cracked sternum, a busted sternum. And he wouldn't practice for weeks at a time, and he'd be just listed as questionable. And then he'd come out there, and he might not have a great warm-up, and he might have a decent warm-up, but he would just, all of a sudden, the switch would turn on. But yeah, he had a birth defect where his sternum was never fully, completely solid like everyone else's is. And so as your body compensates for those things, there's calcifications in there. So it built up, and he took a helmet, crown of a helmet, and I think it was in Kansas City, and it just fractured it like an eggshell.
Wow.
One of the former team physicians told me. And he was tough. Oh, my Lord, was he tough. All right, so let's go to another one here. And to kind of go back to your question, Kayla, this is one where you started to think he was Superman. It was Super Bowl 34 in the Georgia Dome, January 30th, 2000. The Titans trailed by a touchdown. They got the ball back with less than 2 minutes, 1:54 on the clock. And Steve McNair just put together a drive that was just unbelievable. It just came up short. But this one is one people will never forget. 22 seconds left, 3rd and 5 at the St. Louis 26-yard line. Here's the great Steve McNair.
Down at 5. McNair looking over the
everything's
middle.
Outside.
Looking to run. Now steps back. Rolls left. Rolls right. In bad trouble back at the 40. He gets away somehow. Fires downfield. There's Dyson. Dyson at the 10.
Timeout. Call timeout.
He's tackled at the 10. The Titans asked for timeout with 5 seconds to go.
And that obviously was the play before Kevin Dyson was stopped 1 yard short. But you hear Mike say he's in bad trouble. Kayla, I kid you not, because you can go find it on YouTube. Kevin Carter and a couple of other defenders were chasing him out of the pocket. They had him by the jersey and had him literally inches from the playing surface, that AstroTurf. And he somehow Houdini'd it, Superman'd it, whatever the heck you want to say. Scrambled and rolled out, hit Kevin Dyson. And listen, time is never your friend when you're trailing in a game. I always contend if that game had gone to overtime or it had anything longer than what was left, the Rams would have been done, because as a result of this, and you can see it in the NFL Films version of Super Bowl 34, Kevin Carter took himself out of the game on the last play because he was gassed. Yeah. Dick Vermeil, I thought, was going to lose his mind. He said, "You're kidding me. You want to come out in the last play of the Super Bowl, for heaven's sake?"
Yeah, who does that?
But he had that defense had nothing left.
Yeah.
They had one play left, and Mike Jones made it.
That second half for Steve, in the first half, of that Super Bowl, Rhett, Steve was 5 for 14 for 65 yards. The Titans were held scoreless at halftime against the Rams.
16-0.
He finished 22 of 36 for 214 yards. He ran for 64 yards on 8 attempts, including a 23-yarder in the third quarter of that game that put the Titans up first and goal at the 3. That play that we just heard is one of the best forgotten plays. It's got to be the best forgotten play in Titans history.
Yeah, because, and good Lord, if you go back and see it on film, you're like,
It's incredible.
How in the world did they not sack him for a loss and a big one?
Yeah.
It would have been, I don't know, maybe a double-digit yard.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would have been it. That would have been, I mean, you could have gotten to the ball quickly enough. Maybe you get one more play at that point. But, yeah, it's
the equivalent of Eli Manning having the David Tyree catch and then not having the Plexico Burress catch in the back of the end zone to win the Super Bowl. Like, this play,
that's fair.
This play would be the David Tyree play to Dyson that then sets up. And Jeff Fisher, I know, has said that they were going for 2 if they score there on the last play, and it was going to be a 2-point conversion for the Super Bowl. But boy,
yeah, because at that point the Super Bowl had not had an overtime period.
Wow.
And still didn't for many years after.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's take you. This is something I found in the archives, and it contains one of his other games that someone mentioned in the F&M Bank chat from December 21st, 03, the day the Titans clinched a playoff berth, and McNair went back to Houston and broke Texans fans' hearts. And this is at the Houston 23. I think there's 10 seconds left. It's 4th and 10. And you'll hear this in this highlight package. This is something I found that I forget what it was used for, but this highlight is in that montage. Hit it, Bert.
McNair steps up, good run, rolling to his right, throws there's Kenny all along 40, 30, and he's down to the 25. How does McNair do it?
He brought, I guess I want to say, belief in that we could win any game.
It's going to be student body left. McNair turns it up, dives, touchdown, Titans.
There's 3 things that I'll always remember about Steve. It's the 3 C's. It's cool, calm, and collective.
End zone, 62 yards. Jackie Harris on the receiving end of a brilliant play by Steve McNair.
He knew exactly where to go. He made some great decisions, and we designed a couple in the dirt and took advantage of some things they were doing. Some guys made some good plays.
McNair has time, throws left corner for Bennett in the end zone. Touchdown, Titans. Bennett did it again. McNair on 4th and 10 shows why he's the man.
Before that, I'm playing the game, but I'm playing the game scared. I'm playing the game real tender, walking on eggshells. And after that moment, it made me have a lot of confidence in not only myself, but my teammates. To go out, they believe in you, Steve. That's what I told myself. They believe in you. All you got to do is believe in them and just let this game come to you.
Wow.
That's the late Steve McNair you hear on the end of that. You hear the late Mike Heimerdinger in there. Chris Sanders, one of his target wide receivers. Obviously, Blaine Bishop you hear in there. But yeah, that 4th and 10 play, it just broke the Texans. I mean, I think that's where the real hatred started creeping in, because this is in their infancy as an expansion franchise about not being able to wear the Columbia blue and oil derrick stuff. And it's like, yep. And then Drew Bennett in celebration told all of them in the end zone to shh.
That's awesome.
Put a finger in front of his mouth and told him to be quiet.
8 plays, 75-yard drive in 38 seconds to go right down the field and score.
Yep.
Hearing Blaine talk right there was this to me. He said something I know it resonates to a lot of people. He's like, as long as we had Steve McNair, we had a chance to win. That's what a really good quarterback does for you. Like, this is, I'm sure, years back, he's saying this, and it's still relevant to this day, which is why McNair is so important to this franchise with the moments they've had. Think about it. I mean, there's a lot that he gave. What Rhett speaks about the physicality of it, but the play on the field.
Do we have time for this last package?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because it's a little lengthy, but it drives the point home. And this is my favorite and probably the game that put Steve McNair on the map in the precursor at the end of the year prior to his MVP year. And this is at the Meadowlands, December the 1st, 2002. He had busted ribs. He had a calf. He had an ankle. He had all these things. And the Titans were trailing in this game significantly and to Kerry Collins and the Giants in the old Meadowlands Stadium. And this is basically what happened in the last drive.
Visual evidence was pushed to overturn the call on the field. Therefore, that call will stand. It is a touchdown.
Steve hung with me. I turned around. The ball was already in flight. And he put it in a place where no one else could get it but me. And fortunately, I got my hand underneath it, and it was a clean catch.
McNair takes the snap. Quarterback draw. He's in there. 2 for Tennessee.
It's a play that we've practiced, and it's a pass-run option. And if we get everybody to walk out and give us the lead draw, we figure that's as good as anybody to carry that ball 2 yards and get it in.
We've got a tie ball game.
Will be 15-minute overtime. The first team that scores wins.
And you knew he was just in his zone.
McNair dropping, throwing, caught. Going out of bounds after making the catch is Bennett at the 32.
So much for practice. Am I complaining all week that he didn't have practice?
McNair drops the snap, picks it up, throws right side. There's Simon at the 41. He gets away. 45, 50, 45 and out of bounds. AM South, first down, Tennessee. What a move. Young John Simon.
We designed a couple in the dirt and took advantage of some things they were doing. Some guys made some good plays.
Give the ball, Holcomb, 30, 25, 20, and he's down at the 19.
They gave us a blitz, and he cut it back away from the blitz and got us the 15 yards we needed.
Snap, set, kick on the way. Good! The Titans come from behind and steal one at the Meadowlands.
We were 1-4, and everybody wrote us off, and we formed our identity then. So what happens is you got a bunch of guys that have seen the bottom, so nothing scares them. You know, they can go out and play against tough situations and be able to rise up.
It's Jim Schwartz you hear right there at the end. The defensive coordinator.
That's nice.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Well, and he had taken a rib shot a week or two before that. I can't remember how long it was on his right part of his rib cage. And that tortoise shot had worn off because it went to overtime.
Oh, yeah.
To celebrate the 2-point conversion, he had to move the ball from his right hand to his left hand to raise it in the air in celebration because he was in so much pain. Like I remember seeing him in the locker room, and I remember him embracing Floyd Reese, general manager, and I didn't think, I was like, is he going to die? He couldn't catch his breath. His chest was hurting so bad. Unbelievable.
Yeah. If you've had rib issues before, injuries, like breathing is hard. I can't imagine getting hit.
And here's the thing. I remember going into the training room before the game. You know, we had set up these dry pair connections. So we used to talk to the coordinators. We'd hook this up and turn it on, and they would talk to Mike and Pat upstairs. And I remember Joey Barranco, who is the head guy now over there, in the locker room and equipment, and he's like, shh, Mac's taking a nap, because it was dark in there. So I'm testing very quietly over in the corner. Yeah. And that was what it was like. He had pregame naps. He had, ice water.
Which I could never
Ice water in his veins.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
Great stuff with Rhett Bryan this morning. A ton of you loving this on YouTube. One commenter says, Mike Keith, one of a kind. Another one says Mike Keith is him on those OG highlights, man.
I like it.
Awesome. It took me back. I got chills listening to all that. That was so cool. Thank you, Rhett.
A tip of the cap to Mac 9, 15 years ago tomorrow. We know where we were. We know what we were doing.
Yep.
And to Michelle and the boys, still thinking about you. All your teammates, all your friends, and the fans. Hey, I'm with you. It hurts.
Absolutely.
Still to this day.
Yep. There's Rhett Bryan, an outstanding tribute to the late, great Steve McNair. Coming up next, we'll get some midweek motivation courtesy of Inky Johnson. Wrap up the week here on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, man. First and foremost, just a shout out to Hiller, man. They came out to the house yesterday to fix something at the crib. Seamless, okay? Quick and easy is what they do, man. I'm also here to tell you that Hiller, they are also celebrating their birthday, man. Well, it's 34 years in business this year, man. 34 years. Think about this. And they're bringing the celebration to you with their birthday bash this month, all the way till the end of the month, July 31st. You can enjoy a free smart thermostat with select new HVAC systems, free water test to see what you have in your water, see if they can help you out to clean it up a little bit, free leak detection, and shut-off valves with tankless water heaters. And if you buy 10, you'll get 2 free landscape lights, and they'll help you install them also. So celebrate Hiller's birthday bash all of this month until July 31st. You can visit them at happyhiller.com today for details.
Wednesday morning, wrapping up the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW. And a very special thanks to Rhett, Bryan, for helping us remember Mac 9 this morning. Steve McNair.
Really cool.
A lot of you commenting on this on social media. Drew on YouTube says, listening to those Mac 9 clips got me teared up in the work truck.
Mm-hmm.
No shame. Number 9 forever. A couple more tweets coming in as well. Eddie on Twitter says, I could sit here and listen to Rhett talk about the Titans all day. Love the space Ramon, Kayla, and Will is giving the memory of Mac 9. Sweet.
That is super sweet. I was just telling you guys, I went back and looked at Steve McNair's draft class.
Yeah.
And to take yourself back to what year was this? 1995, and the draft picks taken, like, not
That's
even the
always
players, but like the schools and the positions. There was hear me out, a fullback drafted in the second round.
A fullback?
Ray Zellers, man, out of Notre Dame. A second-round fullback. Imagine the era of football that was.
For me, I always think it's interesting. Then, if you're of a certain age, growing up in Nashville, you were a college football first person up until the Titans. And for people like me, and I will say people my age, and I know I'm not describing a ton of you that are listening right now, but I think it's noteworthy that, like, my brother will always tell me, like, I didn't really grow up with any, like, pro sports heroes. Like, my brother Wes will always say, like, I had the Braves and then UT players. For me, like, Steve McNair is one of my heroes growing up. And for a lot of people that grew up only knowing Nashville as an NFL city, and for anyone who's moved here and only knows Nashville as an NFL city, I think this applies to people that are not from here, born and raised as well, that Steve McNair is a lot of people's first pro sport hero. Him and Eddie. I mean, one of my buddies always says he wore red gloves when he played for Brentwood Blaze so he could be like Keith Bullock. Like, so that is how I remember Steve. I will always remember where I was when I got the news that he passed. And for me, like, I wanted to be a quarterback playing on the playground because I wanted to be like Steve. And you wanted to run around and throw off your back foot and run and sprint one way and throw the other and jump over. Like, he was my original sports hero.
Yeah,
was Steve McNair, and he will always be that for so many of us and for so many people. The first one that really resonated and was the face of the Tennessee Titans, and for that, I will always thank and remember Steve and his family for the impact they had on sports. Because you can always have heroes, you can always have the next best and the biggest thing, but there will never be another first pro sports hero in Nashville, Tennessee, like Steve McNair and Eddie George.
I will also add to that, too, being a Tennessee and myself. I remember when the Titans came here, and, of course, I grew up watching the Cowboys or the 49ers or Green Bay. You know how it goes with that. And I know there's a lot of dual fans here that can live that, too, but I distinctly remember when the Titans got here, the excitement around the state. And then what they added to that, too, was, to your point, the stars. Like, in that era, for me, one of those stars, and I continually say, and I was glad to meet him this past year at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, the Freak.
Oh, yeah.
You speak about it being you speak about it being Mac 9 for you, but for me, it was Javon Curse.
14 and a half sacks, 1999 as a rookie.
Florida didn't matter to me. Like, him being from the States, 100%. Like, having something that was your own. Like, I never remember, like, trying to wear all black like he did, or the tall socks or the gloves. And, oh, my gosh, I used to get Renardo's, my brother, hand-me-downs. Like, if he was done with the all black socks, then I was wearing them after that, because I wanted to play DN because of that type of stuff right there. So, yeah, I think everybody has that sports person that you say, this is why I became a fan. So that era, man, has some stars, superstars.
I was going to say that, those teams, geez Louise.
Amazing. So there you go. There's remembering Steve McNair, 15 years, gone far too soon in 2009. You'll have a good 4th. Enjoy it. You got any plans?
Everyone be safe.
Be safe.
Back up, Terry.
Back up.
Yeah.
We ain't even played that.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
Back up, Terry.
Man, we ain't even played that
That's
today.
like the national anthem today.
Back up.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. What you doing?
I love that part.
I love that.
If you've not seen the video,
I love that.
It is a man from Memphis who is lighting a firework in a wheelchair and they're telling him to put it in reverse, and he can't get his wheelchair to go back. And so the firework just starts going off right in front of him. John in the Borough called in last year and said that he knows Terry.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, remember that? He called into our show and said, Terry's like the nicest guy in the world. Like, please, everyone, for people that work in health, because he works at a hospital, he's like, please, for the love of God, I don't want to see you on July 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Be careful, people, right?
There you go. Be safe and enjoy it. We wrap up the show with a little bit of midweek motivation. Feels kind of like end of the week motivation. Our guy, Inky Johnson. We are back at it Monday morning. Here is Inky to close out the show.
I read something every single day I'm home, man. I read this piece by Robert Ward. And it says, he said, I wish you the courage to be warm when the world would prefer you be cool. I wish you success sufficient to your needs. I wish you failure to temper that success. I wish you joy in all your days. I wish you sadness so that you may better measure joy. I wish you gladness to overbalance the grief. I wish you humor and a twinkle in your eye. I wish you glory and strength to bear the burdens. I wish you sunshine on your path and storms to season your journey. I want to go back to a line though. It says, I wish you success sufficient to your needs. I wish you failure to temper that success. I wish you success sufficient to your needs. I wish you failure to temper that success.